gamers! Hi hi! Hello! We're gaming today. Playing Eclipse Special Forces. Yay! This is like my ideal game because I just read the first part and sorry, okay? I'm sorry, I was figuring something out. The first thing I read about this game was that there's no men in it and I'm like, yes! Sorry men, I'm sorry. It's not because I don't like you or anything, I just think it's all fun. I love women, you understand, right? And the devs of the game, thank you so much. They gave me a key to this game and I was so excited because this game looks so stunning and I'm so excited. Don't worry, Lich, it's not including you. But without further ado, let's get into the game. Also, thank you, Angel, for making the thumbnail for me. It's beautiful, right? He really cooked. Alright, let's start. It's so dark. Space. Yes, it is dark. Hello? Oh, that's not space. Enter. Hyesu was engulfed in darkness. The shadows were unnaturally cold and wrapped in an oppressive silence, a darkness so absolute. She couldn't tell whether her eyes were open or closed. I can't even move a finger. Suspended in an endless abyss, trapped where she could neither leave nor remain, Hyesu felt herself engulfed by a nameless terror, as though caught in a suffocating grasp of sleep paralysis. Desperately, she struggled to move her fingertips, even slightly, even faintly, at that very moment. What do hands even look like? An absurd, inconceivable thought seized her consciousness. This is ridiculous. This is redonkulous. Also, let me know, is it too loud? I think I have paint in my hair. She knew without any doubt that she had hands, yet no matter how hard she tried to recall, she couldn't picture their shape. If I stay here any longer, I might disappear. A suffocating dread crept through her, an oppressive darkness that seemed to deny her very existence. That fear surged outward in a soulless, desperate scream. I'm not gonna do a big scream. Then, as if it... Sorry, what was that? As if it had been waiting for this precise moment, the void opened its gaping maw wide and swallowed her whole. The void swallowed her? It should have been me! It should have been me! Hyesu had already become helpless prey, swallowed by the pitch-black darkness, when suddenly a cascade of white light poured down upon her like relentless rain. Yet despite this abrupt deluge, Hyesu, I think I'm saying her name wrong. Hyesu did not flinch or shield her eyes. Instead, she stared directly upwards into the streaming radiance as though she had awakened in the heart of the light. The ceaseless torrent soon swelled into a dazzling flood, shimmering all around her. Hyesu found herself submerged beneath its surface, gazing numbly to upwards at the undulating waves. I'm sorry, my dyslexic ass. Am I underwater? Help, I'm under the water! Please help me! The instant that realization pierced her thoughts, her body grew heavier, gradually sinking like soaked cotton. An irresistible force coiled around her, pulling relentlessly. It dragged her deeper and deeper into the silent, waiting abyss. Powerless, unable to resist, Hyesu sank, falling without end into an abyss. Jesus, can I read? Falling without end into an abyssal sea, eerily slumbering in silence. With each passing second, the crushing pressure increased mercilessly, her body groaning beneath the immense weight. Air escaped her lungs in panicked bubbles as she struggled to move her limbs. Alright, where's the mermaid? I'm kidding. You know, like Ariel. Yet despite her anguished desperation, her arms and legs remained stubbornly paralyzed, as though nailed in place. A cruel, wrenching dissonance overcame her, a feeling as if the mind and the body had been violently torn apart, thrown into parallel paths, destined never to meet again. Trapped in this irreversible plunge, a terrifying dread took hold of Hyesu's heart, and the realization that she might never escape this relentless descent. I am going to lose my mind. Just as Jesus' sanity teetered precariously at its limit, a voice whispered, brushing faintly against her ears, "It's the mermaid, I told you!" "I've killed." The voice was Joe. Shit. The voice was gentle, strangely comforting, almost familiar. I did not make it sound gentle. Jesus strained earnestly to identify its owner, her ears yearning towards the indistinct sound. Yet, I can't hear clearly. The murmuring waves swirled around her ears, crashing relentlessly and drowning out the voice, keeping it beyond Jesus' grasp. That's crazy. Is this like a dream? Because she had sleep paralysis. It seems like a dream, but I'm not sure. No matter how intensely she strained, the words remained fragmented, drifting to her in scattered bits, like static from a poorly turned radio crackling into her consciousness. Or she's gonna get like those isekai animes, and she's gonna get, you know, it's like she got hit by a truck, and then she gets teleported to a world that has no men. Or... Suddenly the voice rang out again, this time with piercing clarity. Responding instinctively, Jesus' body surged upwards, abruptly breaking free from the watery depths. It was as though she'd never been submerged at all. Beneath the glaring sunlight, bangs that felt as if it dried crisp brushed gently against her forehead. Jesus pressed her feet onto the hard ground and rose to stand. The suffocating restraint had disappeared entirely, leaving behind only an uncanny emptiness. Weakness etched into every muscle. She inched forward, each step as tentative as a child's first. At the distant edge of the blindingly white space, where her gaze finally settled, someone deeply, achingly familiar stood waiting. Who? To clearly discern the face hidden behind a haze of thick mist, Jesus took an urgent step forward. Would you rather kill? What? That voice, calm yet chillingly sinister, halted Jesus mid-step. And then... Ooh! Not that that's scaring me. I'm a loser. A sudden violent torrent of crimson blood splashed against Jesus' face. What? The thick, dark liquid clung to her skin, burning as though determined to melt her flesh away. Ah! Jesus gasped as the scorched pain ripped mercilessly through her senses. I have to get this off. Right now! Or else... Just as she frantically lifted her arms to wipe the blood away. Should I scream? I'll scream. Ah! An agonized scream violently ripped through the air. Please! Followed by the sight of someone's back contorted in agony. In this hell? It was a dream. Damn, she's so fine. Not to be a gooner or anything, but like, sorry. This is today's news. Recently, a series of random assault incidents have been simultaneously occurring across the globe. Eclipse has classified these events as acts of terrorism and will launch an investigation. My breathing is drowning out all the other sounds. Sorry. I got achievements at the nightmare. It scared me. At the end of Jesus' blurry vision, she could see the TV playing. I knew it was a dream. I knew it. I'm smart. But her rapid breathing seemed to interfere with the sound, and the content failed to register in her mind. Before she could fully catch her breath, something fell on her lap with a soft thud. Huh? Oh. Whoa! Once Jesus recognized it was Dale's arm, her tension eased and a slow, calming smile spread across her face. Sorry. Dale was fast asleep, oblivious and tranquil. Comforted by the familiar rhythm of Dale's quiet breathing, Jesus finally turned her gaze towards the television. I guess we fell asleep watching that movie last night. Last night, while aimlessly flipping through TV channels, Jesus stumbled upon an old favorite, Tiger. Tiger was a campy B-grade movie featuring a protagonist who wore a tiger mask and shouted the cheesy catchphrase, "I will protect this world," as she defeated the villains. Despite its reputation as a low-budget spectacle, Jesus had always loved watching Tiger. There was something undeniably admirable about the hero's unwavering courage, her readiness to leap into action without hesitation, always protecting those in trouble. Sure, looking at it now, it's definitely cheesy, but Heisu tore her gaze away from the TV, glancing down at Dale's arm, draped lazily across her lap. Gently lifting that arm, she placed it around her neck and nestled carefully into Dale's warm embrace. It should have been me! Sorry. Underneath the covers, Dale's body radiated a comforting warmth, perfectly heated just right. Wrapped in that reassuring heat, Heisu quietly listened to the steady rhythm of Dale's heartbeat, lifting her head slightly to look at her peacefully sleeping face. I've never seen her sleep this soundly before. Where Heisu drifted easily into peaceful sleep, Dale was often besieged by nightmares. Looks like I'm the one who had nightmares this time. You think? You were drowning, my dude. Lost in thought, Heisu softly poked Dale's cheek. Does she have nightmares like this too? Probably, it might be even worse, my dude. In Heisu's dream, she drifted helplessly through an endless abyss woven of blinding light and absolute darkness, until even the memory of her own form faded away. Even now, the terror she'd felt remained so vividly clear, far too tangible to dismiss as a mere dream, and her fingertips still trembled faintly, a lingering echo of that raw fear. Did Dale ever feel like this too? The fear of your entirety vanishing away? The dread of being left alone, abandoned in a silent void? Heisu had never asked Dale directly about her dreams, firstly because Dale didn't seem to want to discuss them, and secondly, because whenever she suffered from nightmares, she always quickly calmed down as long as Heisu was right by her side. Within the Eclipse unit, 2 agents typically shared a single living quarter. Should I be an agent so I can be living with a woman? I'm just saying, it's gonna give me an opportunity to be with a presence of another female. Don't call females female, that's weird. In the presence of another woman, because god damn it, I'm a home dweller. I'm never gonna find one. Anyways. Though each agent was provided with their own bed, Heisu and Dale always shared one for this exact reason. But in reality, I do want to know. Dale, what kind of dreams do you have? And when will you tell me? Dale? You know, if you tell her your dream, then she can tell you her dream. Yep, I got it eventually. Heisu gently grasped Dale's index finger, as if to reassure her of her presence. And as if in an answer to her reaction, Dale's eyes slowly fluttered open. Oh, she's so pretty! Ah! Sorry. Her golden eyes glistened beneath crescent-shaped lids, reflecting Heisu's face. After a few slow, languid blinks, her eyes, filled with the warm, fading hues of sunset, finally opened round and clear. Oh, you're awake. It should have been me! This should have been me! Sorry. I'm not sorry. It should have been me. They're living my dream. Heisu, let's sleep a little longer. With those murmured words, Dale's eyes closed once again, vanishing quietly like a full moon obscured behind clouds. But perhaps it was Dale's sweet, dreamlike voice gently tugging at her senses. Heisu suddenly felt herself slipping back into the comforting haze of sleep, as though about to drift once more into a labyrinth of dreams. And they're like holding each other, and it's so sweet! Struggling to resist the returning of drowsiness, Heisu blinked several times, uncertain of what to do next. Ooh, I get to choose. I'm timed? Let's sleep a little longer. Shit, I should have saved. I can't save anyways. Okay, then it's fine. I didn't think I was gonna be timed! Heisu's eyelids fluttered shut, too heavy to resist. Lulled by Dale's quiet breathing, she drifted into deep and peaceful sleep. I should have picked Get Up, because she was having nightmares. So, like, I should have probably picked Get Up. Under pressure, I picked the other one. What's that sound? So noisy. Heisu frowned as her peaceful slumber was shattered by the sudden noise. In an attempt to drown it out, she burrowed deeper beneath the blanket. Yet the irritating electronic ringing refused to cease, insistently echoing through the room. That's really annoying. Half asleep, Jesus reached out and fumbling blindly across the bedside table until her fingers finally closed around the noisy phone. At that exact moment, the incessant ringing magically ceased. Missed calls? Jesus squinted at the screen, overcome by an inexplicable sense of unease. Max, 10 missed calls. Upon confirming the caller's name, Jesus let out a low groan of dread. Ugh, I'm so dead. With sudden urgency, she threw off the covers and launched herself out of bed, shaking the mattress violently in her haste. As Jesus scrambled around pulling on scattered clothes, Dale remained peacefully asleep, entirely undisturbed by the commotion. See, that's a 50-50 for me regarding, like, sleeping. It's a 50-50 chance that I will wake up immediately from the ringing or completely sleep through like Dale just did. Like, no matter how much people move me, I'm dead. I'm gone. Nothing can wake me up. Dale, it's time to get up. Jesus called out urgently, her voice muffled as her head slipped halfway into her shirt. Quiet. If we don't hurry, Max is seriously going to kill us. I'm not getting up. Dale's voice trailed off as she sank back into her dreams, completely oblivious to Jesus' mounting panic. You usually wake up without any trouble. Why are you like this today? Get up! At her wit's end, Jesus finally seized the blanket cocooning Dale and hurled it on the floor in frustration. For a brief instant, Dale's body shivered from the sudden chill and then... She immediately slipped right back into a blissfully deep slumber. Dale, get up! Unless you want Max to chew us out. Jesus pleaded sweetly, grabbing Dale by the shoulders and gently rocking her back and forth as if she was coaxing a stubborn child awake. Despite being shaken simply back and forth, Dale showed no signs of waking, leaving Jesus to break out in cold sweat. Just then... Ah, yikes. Ooh, an impatient, aggressive knocking echoed harshly throughout the room. That frantic combination of furious doorbell ringing and pounding can only be... Excuse me, seniors, don't tell me you're still asleep. Oh, we're doomed. Dale, we're late. Hurry up, move. In sharp contrast to Jesus, who looked ready to dash out the door at any second. Wow. Dale leisurely took her sweet time putting on her gloves, calmly preparing to head out. Seriously, stop dawdling. Let's go if we get any later. Or if we're any later, Max will rip us apart. Just as Jesus frantically yanked the door open. Finally! Can you hurry up, please, seniors? Max stood waiting outside, her brow furrowed deeply, irritation blatantly obvious on her face. And right next to her... Wowee! I like this cast! They're so cool! Sorry. I can't help it. I see really cool designs, this is how I act all the time. Adora stood as still as a statue, asleep on her feet with an uncanny calm, as though possessed. Excuse me, ma'am? She's sleeping, standing up. Is this your first time meeting her? Just ignore her. I'm practically starving after waiting for you two. Every morning at exactly 7:40, Jesus, Dale, Max, and Adora gathered to eat breakfast together before heading out for their shift. No one was quite sure when exactly this became their daily routine, but it was undoubtedly a decree enforced by Max. Then you should go eat first instead of waiting for us. Why do we have to eat together every day anyway? Yeah. Do you honestly think you'd come down on your own if I didn't keep an eye on you? I'm hungry. In response to Max's pointed jab, Jesus casually whistled, leading the way downstairs to the first floor. At Cafe Rest, located on the first floor of the Eclipse facility, as Jesus pushed open the cafe doors, a cheerful bell chimed brightly, welcoming them inside. The Cafe Rest, decorated with elegant white walls and warm wood-toned flooring, was Operation Team's one favorite spot. A subtle blend of fresh coffee and soothing lavender drifted gently through the air, lending the place a serene atmosphere, perfect befitting its name. That actually, I'm not a coffee person. I just can't with coffee, but that sounds very chill and calm and relaxing. As Jesus and the others settled comfortably at their usual window side table, a familiar figure approached them. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Max nodded quietly in greeting. I like the color scheme. Right, it's super nice. I like it.
Such beautiful weather today, isn't it?
Chase looked out the window with a radiant smile. I've heard there are folks who hang around here just to catch a glimpse of Chase. Glancing upward at that warm, radiant smile, Jesus found herself briefly lost in thought. They say Chase's presence brings a rare touch of normalcy to the tense atmosphere of Eclipse, though, truth be told, she's anything but ordinary herself. After all, Eclipse wasn't just some military facility, it was the very heart of the land of Solar's authority. I want the one with long hair. The big one that was sleeping. Ah, I love her! Sorry. Ah, I love it. Unauthorized entry was strictly prohibited, and even those stationed here as civilians were required to have at least basic combat skills or supernatural powers. And yet, in a place like this, Chase ran a cafe. Hardly ordinary, by any stretch of imagination, Jesus thought blankly. When I was still just a rookie, Chase was already managing this cafe. But wow, she looks so much younger than me.
Jesus?
Chase's voice, gentle and slightly damp like morning dew, softly snapped Jesus out of her wandering thoughts. Yeah?
Shall I bring you the usual?
Yep, Dally and I will have our usual.
And for you, Agent Max?
I'll have the ham sandwich set.
I don't know why. Suddenly Max sounded like that. Chase nodded and disappeared into the back of the cafe. Hey! What about Adora? The reason she'd only taken 3 orders was simple. Oh, never mind, because she's eating! Adora wasn't exactly the type to exchange her morning naps for breakfast. Even now, seated at the table, Adora remained fast asleep, her head occasionally bobbing slightly. Jesus slowly shook her head, recalling the bizarre sight of Adora sleepwalking all the way down to the cafe.
A ham sandwich set for you, Agent Max, coffee for Agent Dally, and finally a BLT sandwich set for you, Jesus. With milk instead of coffee, correct?
With practiced ease, Chase placed their meals and drinks before them on the table. Thank you. Thanks, looks great. After settling down their meals, Chase lingered awkwardly around the table, her gaze fixed intently on Jesus' face. Chase, is there something I can help you with? Chase hesitated nervously, fidgeting around before finally speaking.
Jesus, I've been thinking about adding something new to the menu.
Oh, really?
Yes, and, I was hoping you might be willing to taste test it for me. Is there anything else you like particularly, besides sandwiches?
Yes, well, let's see. Honestly, everything you'd make tastes amazing. So I'm sure everything you decide will be delicious, or whatever you decide will be delicious.
Really? Then please, give me a new dish to try next time.
Absolutely, I'll be looking forward to it.
Great!
Chase blushed bright red, swiftly hiding her flushed face behind her tray as she hurriedly stepped away. Why do some people say they dislike men, then proceed to go with the manliest girl they can find? Even if they go for the manliest girl they find, it's still not a man. It's a woman. So, if they're into that, they're into that. You know? Because at the end of the day, like I said, they're not a man. They're a woman. So, it makes sense. Oops, sorry. Max gave Jesus a look that seemed to say, seriously? What's so bad with men? People just don't like men sometimes. It's not like they're the entirety of men either. It's just lots of bad experiences with men in the past. You know? Some people have experienced a lot of bad things and they're just not comfortable. But again, it's not all men. It's just that group of men. I mean, like, I'm not into men. I like women, but that doesn't mean I'm not friends with men. It's, it all has to come down with character, you know? Like Angel, Lich, you know, Neffy, they all are, good men, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be attracted to men, you know what I mean? So I can goon to manly women because I know they're women. Yum yum. You know? Yum yum woman yum yum. The idea of woman yum yum. Tips hat. Milady? What's that look for? I keep pressing space. Nothing. It's not like this is the first time you've flirted with someone. Excuse me? Flirt? You're suspiciously quiet about this today, aren't you, Senior? Completely ignoring Jesus' reaction, Max turned to Dali. Usually you'd throw a fit if someone as so much as glanced in Jesus' direction. Max, are you seriously ignoring me right now? Ah! When everything tastes amazing because there's cuties around you, yum yum. I would eat mushrooms if all these women were around me. I would eat mushrooms. And I hate mushrooms. I hate mushrooms. If they were around me, I'd be like, this is delicious. I love it. Dale simply sipped her coffee, seemingly oblivious to Max's gaze. Back at the academy, anyone who dared to show interest in you? Well, Max's gaze lingered on Dale, words halting mid-sentence before sliding towards Jesus. Well, what? Max fixed her eye on Jesus, who waited expectantly for the next words. You two were famous back at the Eclipse Academy. They called you Isis and Set, remember? She finally spoke aloud. That startling truth. Wait, what? Isis and Set? Jesus stared in disbelief, doubting her ears. Isis and Set from Solar Legend. In simpler terms, an angel and a devil. Ignoring Jesus' stunned, mortified expression at having inadvertently opened a box full of embarrassing memories, Max calmly carried on without a hint of remorse. My classmates used to say that Senior Dali's cold, disdainful gaze, reminiscent of Set, was strangely irresistible. And you, Senior Jesus, they adored you because you reminded them of Isis, kind-hearted and generous, with that gorgeous smile of yours. Isis? Set? Unable to trust her ears, Jesus repeated the names again in disbelief. Rumor had it, anyone who confessed their feelings for you or who fell for Senior Dale would inevitably go insane. Was it because they liked you so much? Max asked in a Max asked in a deadpan tone, her words directed squarely at Jesus, who seemed mired in denial. How the hell should I know? Jesus shouted in a state of despair more intense than she'd ever experienced before. I never wanted to know any of this in the first place. Jesus groaned, burying her face in her hands, silently begging God to turn back time. Meanwhile, completely indifferent to Jesus' anguished meltdown, Dale continued sipping her coffee, casually scrolling through her phone as though none of this concerned her. Ah, so noisy, muttered Adora, her voice barely audible. A faint ripple echoed as water-formed earplugs covered her ears, drowning out the noise. It seemed like she was trying to get proper sleep at the cafe. Well, how someone uses their powers is entirely up to them. Giving up on her meaningless struggle against Max's words, Jesus couldn't help but laugh softly as she glanced at Adora. Max shot Jesus an irritated glare that practically spoke, "What's so funny?" before letting out a heavy sigh. Element-based power wielders were exceptionally rare, in particularly wielders of the 4 natural elements: wind, water, fire, and earth. Avatar, the last airbender, were revered more than any others, as these were powers once held by the legendary First Ones themselves. However, it is also common knowledge that elemental powers, despite their immense strength, are notoriously difficult to control. Adora's effortless, casual use of such extraordinary power was clear proof of her remarkable talent, that she made earplugs made out of water. Yet Jesus couldn't help but find amusement in the fact that Adora, despite her exceptional ability, mostly uses it as convenient shortcuts to indulge her laziness. Anyway, the Academy. Wow, it feels like ages ago. The Eclipse Military Academy was a mandatory training institution for anyone aiming to join the Eclipse forces. Regardless of age or country of origin, anyone with supernatural powers who pledged unwavering loyalty to Solarism could enter the Academy. Successfully graduating guaranteed immediate enrollment into Eclipse, effectively serving as a fast track to citizenships in the land of Solar. Yep. However, given its notoriously rigorous curriculum and harsh graduation exams, it wasn't exactly the most recommended route for everyone. Furthermore, it was not uncommon for influential figures from various nations to enroll their own kin into the academy, intent on seizing power at the very heart of the land of Solar itself. Most of them ended up crying and running away within a few months, though. How long has it been since we graduated? Maybe 5 years? Heisu had an exact... Jesus, can I... please? Heisu hadn't actually wanted an exact answer when she brought up their academy days. Just something to chat about casually. We graduated in 1524. However, Dale swiftly and accurately provided the correct answer. Ah, of course, madame, always impeccably precise. Dale merely shrugged, unfazed by Heisu's playful teasing. I like Dale. She's so... I'm sorry. La? Do they mean Ra, as in keeping the Egyptian mythology theme? I don't know. I don't know. It said La. While remembering a graduation year might seem trivial, Dale had an extraordinary memory for just about everything. There was even an incident. The history professor, who had always disliked Dale, asked her, "List all the major events and dates from Creation Day through BC, AD, and up to the present." It was nothing but a blatant attempt to humiliate her in front of her classmates. But who are we kidding? With a perfectly calm, almost emotionless expression, Dale began reciting Creation Day, then every historical event and date with flawless precision. That's enough, stop! The professor, whether out of anger or fear, shouted, but Dale, her expression calm and unreadable, paid her no mind. There's still much to go, Professor, she replied with effortless poise. Since that incident, her classmates had taken to calling Dale the Memory Monster. So what, she had 2 nicknames, plus her name, 3? Though behind her back, there were more countless playful variants, like Memon, Mimamon, or even Mmm. Rumor had it that Dale herself couldn't care less, which is probably true. She really does know everything. Heisu studied Dale's face, then shifted her gaze to the solitary cup of coffee that served as Dale's breakfast. Clicking her tongue disapprovingly, Heisu sighed inwardly. Breakfast should be heartier. I'm fine. Breakfast just makes me feel bloated. Come on, just one bite. After only a brief sigh, Dale took a reluctant bite from the sandwich Heisu offered. Delicious, isn't it? Yeah. Seeing Heisu's face glow with eager anticipation, Dale couldn't help but give him a faint, resigned smile. What you looking at? I'm like, she's a Digimon! I'm like shaking my leg. I love the lesbians! I love the woman! Heisu rested her chin comfortably on Dale's shoulder, looking over at the screen on her phone. Morning news. In an attempt to distract her, Heisu mischievously exaggerated her chewing motions as if loudly chewing gum, causing Dale's shoulder to shake slightly. Stop it, I can't concentrate. Come on! Delighted by Dale's reactions, Heisu wrapped her arms playfully around her waist and laughed, carefree and joyous. It should have been me. It should have been me! I wanted to be that! Admit it, you two are dating, right? Yeah. Huh? No, we're not. Tell me about it. You're always stuck together as if you die the second you're separated. We're not that together, said Heisu, feigning innocence as she clung to Dale like a koala. Wait, why aren't you saying anything? Dale's eyes narrowed, though that thin slit seemed a glacial stare. Seeped a glacial, Jesus. Cold enough to freeze and even Heisu on the spot. What? Why? What's that look supposed to mean? As if nothing had ever happened, Dale erased all traces of coldness from her face, replacing it with a gentle smile. Yes, we're dating, right? Got it. Let's get to work. With Max's announcement to disperse, everyone immediately rose from their seats. Even Adora, who moments before had clearly been half asleep, stood up without delay. No, it's not like that. We didn't mean to. Heisu desperately reached out, calling after them, but they had already vanished, leaving behind only the lingering echo of the jingling bells. Whoa. In a world once lost to boundless darkness, awoke the sun god, La. Whoopsie! With her divine radiance, she brought forth all creation from the abyss. She formed the world, and with sacred clay she fashioned 2 kinds of beings, those who bore her divine blessing, and those who lacked it. Those blessed by La, the ones who create, possessed the power to create life, mirroring the sun god herself, and used this sacred gift to build flourishing civilizations. But this divine power inevitably bred envy. There existed those untouched by her blessing, the ones who covet, who sought to seize her divine power through sheer violence. They proclaimed their own brute strength, the power to crush and destroy, as the true essence of the sun god. How dare mere creatures incapable of creation claim themselves as divine? Deeply enraged by such arrogance, La sent her divine herald down to the mortal realm to restore order. I skipped again! The herald took pity on the ones who had been trampled and oppressed by this violence. So she bestowed upon 4 chosen humans the formidable elemental powers. I didn't think Mera as in the Egyptian sun god, but it got fucked up by translation. Probably because I think this is Korean, and in Korea they don't really have like R, so it's probably Ra, yeah. Wind, water, fire, and earth. With these divine gifts, the first ones drove the desecrators from the land. In recognition of their triumph, the divine herald bestowed upon the first ones the name Bastet, Tefnut, Hathor, and Mat. Under these sacred names, each founded great nations and governed the world in peace and harmony. As the tale concluded, the dancing shadows of the puppet show fell still. The children sitting around the tiny stage in a circle clapped their hands in delight. Whoa! A woman seated beside the miniature stage holding a storybook smiled warmly at the children.
I would like a piece of that, guys. I would like a piece of that. Just one chance. Just one chance.
Did everyone enjoy the prophet's tale?
Yes, it was so much fun.
Oh, this is Max. It's been a while since I've heard of Solar Legends. Yeah, me too, you know. When I first heard the story, I would go around town saying, I'm going to be here too. That does sound like you, senior. Jesus shifted her gaze away from Max towards the children, giggling and chattering joyfully. Though crafted specifically for children, it was not merely a romantic tale intricately woven by the ancients, intertwining imagination as warp and faith as weft. Yep. Its historical truths lay within it. The persecution of people in ancient times, the awakening of supernatural power, and the 1-year war. Solar Legend was as much a history book as it was folklore, capturing the realities of a turbulent past. If only peace had endured after they drove out their oppressors. Yet even after the dawn of the Solar Era, wars born of conflicting national interests persisted relentlessly. In the first century of the Solar Era, after a devastating war, the founding monarchs Bastet, Tefnut, Hathor, and Mat signed a peace treaty. No nation shall possess military force. The treaty was signed in the Land of Covenants, the eternally neutral land of Solar, within its capital, the Solar City. Sorry. I inhaled saliva. Sorry. Here a grand temple was erected to honor Ra in the promise of peace. And under the pretext of preventing terrorism and war, a special force unit endowed with supernatural powers, Eclipse, was established. At its head sat the prophet, who alone could hear the voices of the sun god. I just want a piece of that. Just one chance. Just one night, please. Thus she ascended as supreme leader of solarism, sovereign of the land of Solar, and the highest authority within Eclipse. Now, does anyone have any questions for the prophet? Please raise your hand.
I do!
Amongst the children, eagerly raising their hands, one especially fervent voice drew the teacher's attention.
Which country has the most similar climate to us?
That would be... Oh, wait, let me... Should she be British? That would be Bastet. Bastet is a lush spring nation blessed by the grace of the wind. From Bastet's abundant nature comes the food we enjoy at our table every morning.
Even the milk we drink?
Yes, of course.
What about Tefnut? What kind of country is Tefnut?
Tefnut is a summer nation blessed by the grace of water, known for its beautiful oasis. Beneath its vast deserts lie splendid gemstones, which they use to decorate their magnificent buildings.
Deserts? Like the sand we have at the playground. My mom said that's all the sand there. Wow, amazing.
Hathor is blessed by the grace of fire. It's an autumn country where the trees blaze crimson red. Its wide fields yield golden crops. They gently sway in the breeze, resembling waves of gold.
Wow, that's so cool! Does that really snow in Matt? Snow? You mean the soft cold stuff that falls from the sky?
Yes, that's right. The land of Solar is always warm thanks to Ra's blessing, so we never see snow here, but Maat, as blessed by the grace of Earth, is a mystical winter nation where soft white snow gently blankets the land.
But isn't it freezing when it snows? It must be hard to live there.
Asked one child, her saddened eyes looking up at the prophet. The prophet softly patted the child's head and spoke reassuringly. Maat is home to many wise scientists. They live abundant and comfortable lives, harnessing the power of science so they're never troubled by the cold. In fact, many of the buildings and vehicles in this land of Solar were created by scientists from Maat.
Wow, I want to visit Matt someday. And what about the other countries? Does it snow there too?
With a gentle and kind smile, the prophet shook her head at the child's question. How peaceful? It really is. But if it were truly peaceful, then Eclipse Horus, the investigation department, wouldn't have assigned the entirety of Operation Team 1 to guard the prophet. I don't trust that one. I don't care if she's evil. Unless she did something seriously fucked up, then, it's off. But sorry.
Taking time.
Typically, the prophet traveled with minimal protection to remain closely connected with the people. Within the borders of the land of Solar, renowned for its excellent security, and especially within its capital, the Solar City, this principle had always been maintained without issue. But now, amid continuous global reports of random assault incidents, the prophet's customary openness had become too risky to uphold. Eclipse thus designated a dedicated protection team to safeguard her against any potential threats. Ultimately, this critical duty fell to the Horus Operations Team 1, of which Heisu was part of. Thank you very much for today. No, not at all. We're the ones who are grateful. The children had a wonderful time. I also enjoyed meeting them. After exchanging a brief greetings with the kindergarten teacher, the prophet turned to Heisu and Team 1. Thank you for your service. Shall we move on to the next part of today's schedule? Schedule? The prophet and Operations Team 1 emerged from the narrow alley onto a large street bustling with market stalls. Bustling, but I'm gonna be busting. Oh my gosh, hi Prim, you just missed out on everything, actually. You missed out on all of it. You missed out on lesbian sex, you missed out on more lesbian sex, and you missed out on lesbians making out. I'm kidding. We didn't get there yet. But the characters are very delicious. That's what you did miss out on. Don't worry, baby girl. You'll see them shortly anyways. Shortly enough. Shortly anyways? Shortly. Anyways. Also, the prophet. Just one night, please. Just one time. Just one time. The prophet and Operation Team 1 emerged from the narrow alley onto a large street bustling with market stalls. It seemed that the lunchtime rush had just begun. Merchants hurriedly bustled about setting up their stands. With each step along the path, the savory scent of melting butter mingled pleasantly, as well as the fresh aroma of fruit, tickling Jesus' nose. I didn't know you were streaming or I would have set an alarm. I'm sorry, baby. I thought I... Damn, I really didn't. say anything. I'm cringe. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible. I'll be more organized next time. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Short? We call him Prim short because I agree. With each step along the path, the savory scent of melting butter mingled pleasantly, as well as the fresh aroma of fruit, tickling Jesus' nose. Hello, Prophet.
Greetings, dear Prophet. You look as healthy as ever. Yes, thank you for your kind wishes. I'm doing quite well.
Also, Prim, there are no men in this world. Purely women. All women. It's heaven for me. Calling you short? That's a lie. You're calling Prim short.
Here, take one. It's on the house. Thank you.
An elderly woman, clearly familiar with the prophet, approached her warmly and placed a sunberry on her hand. After walking for a while and chatting amiably with the residents, they finally caught sight of the majestic Temple of Solar. Its grand archway stood proudly against the vivid blue sky, gleaming brilliantly like a radiant rainbow. The Temple of Solar was erected, to honor the enduring peace between Ra and the four nations, and is said to have been constructed by the masterful architects of Mat. You going to have a holy night with the prophet? Holy night. Just let me see what's underneath your clothings, madame. Sorry, I'm not a gooner, but sorry, I am. Is that talking in the background? So if there's no males, how do they make more? Well, they just said in the story, if you were paying attention, that the god made two species, one that can create and the other not create. So one that can create probably can create more humans. They said that they were tasked with in making fruitful civilizations. They don't need men to get pregnant in this world. I don't even know if they get pregnant. They just need each other. The power of women. When a mom and a mom really love each other, they do a special thing. When two women really love each other, they do this thing called sexual so it's basically a Monkiverse. Oh yeah. So, can I be in this world? Actually? Jesus shifted her gaze towards the majestic tree of the sun, rising high atop a small hill beside the temple. I don't think they need dingalings, because if they had dingalings, I don't think they have the dongalongs. They don't have a cock. No, they're all women. In this world, they don't need men to procreate. They need the power of friendship. She wants to be in a megaverse. No, I want to be in this world, not in a megaverse. Random, but a megaverse that's straight does not make sense to me. Unless the woman is pegging the man, but still, anyways, I shouldn't get into this right now. Though some distance away from where they stood, the tree's magnificent form was clearly visible, dominating the view. Dominating, you say? Sorry. It's always breathtaking, no matter how often I see it. Beneath dazzling golden leaves, pure white fruits hung in abundance, creating a sight that never failed to inspire awe. Straight megaverse is so stupid. It just doesn't make sense. It's just straight. It doesn't do anything. Where's the flavor? Nowhere. There's no flavor. There's no sauce. Bland as fuck. A tree of the sun was dyed blood red for half the year and shone golden like sunlight for the other half. People believed this wondrous transformation occurred because the breath of Ra, the creator, had touched this tree. Oh, working hard again, I see. How about some refreshing sun drop? At the base of the hill, leading up to the Tree of Sun, beneath a vibrant tent, the owner of Master of the Sun called out to Jesus with a cheerful grin. Well, calling it juice is a stretch, they're just sunberries with straws poked through them. Though called a berry, the sunberry is roughly the size of a fist and possesses a tough outer shell. Inside it brims with a translucent crimson juice, sweet and refreshingly crisp, making it a beloved drink amongst locals. Tourists considered it a specialty, often revertingly calling it the blood of the sun god Ra, a tangible taste of divine blessing. Dale, want one? Ah! I love Dale. Baby girl, please, just one chance. Just one chance, just one chance. Sure. 2, please. Excuse me, you're on duty. Try not to forget. Ah, well, our captain is relaxing too. She's the captain, we're not. Unbothered by Max's scolding, Jesus and Dale took a sip of their sundrops. You two, I swear. Pretending not to hear Max's grumbling, Jesus turned her gaze towards Rianne. Standing a little distance away, Rianne was engaged in a quiet conversation with the prophet. Just one chance, prophet! Just one chance, please! Walking through the market. Walking through the market like this reminds me of our older days. It does, doesn't it? The first time I took you outside, you were trembling like a puppy caught in the rain. It was truly terrifying back then. You hadn't even tried cotton candy. Not even hot dogs. I remember wondering, what has this woman been doing her whole life? I'll never forget the taste of that first hot dog. Oh shit, I said it in the wrong voice. Rianne and the prophet broke into smiles simultaneously, their faces glowing with nostalgia. There's fucking... Your Honor, they're fucking, I just know it. The prophet and Rianne are really close. Even the first time I met Rianne, she was with the prophet. With that thought, Jesus took another sip of her sundrop. Just as an advertisement began playing on a billboard mounted atop on the soaring skyscrapers. From shipbuilding to water purification, Claudia, reborn through carefully patented innovations. CEO app and her devices, decisive leadership, shaped Claudia into enterprise it is today. Ah, that woman looks a lot like Adora. Be quiet. Max elbowed Jesus sharply in the ribs and whispered. Huh? Why? That's Adora's mother. She doesn't like talking about family, so let's just quietly move on. I can hear you. Adora, whose expression rarely changed, frowned slightly and spoke. I've heard rumors that Adora was from a prestigious family, but the heir to Claudia? Claudia was a global corporation, famous enough that even 6-year-olds knew its name. Jesus recalled recently reading an article about Claudia expanding its ventures from shipbuilding and water purification into hospital management. Maybe she's not on good terms with her mother. Though Max likely understood Adora's personal worries better, Jesus had no intention of prying into matters Adora preferred to keep private. Well, it's not like I'm one to talk. I have things I'd prefer to keep hidden too. Agent Jesus. Before she knew it, the prophet had drawn very close to Jesus' side. Startled by the prophet's sudden appearance, Jesus nearly threw her sundrop on the ground. Yes? Answering weakly, like a deflated balloon, Jesus quickly glanced towards Rianne. Rianne, who had been casually standing beside the prophet moments ago, now stood rigid, hands clasped behind her back like a sentry. Seeing this, Jesus quietly slipped the sundrop behind her back and replied in a composed voice. Yes, Your Grace. Is there something you require? Hands over chest, she bowed politely, as though she hadn't just been slacking off. The prophet simply observed her in silence. Your Grace? As the silence stretched onward, Jesus lifted her head to meet the prophet's serene blue eyes. You truly resemble your mother a great deal, Agent Jesus. Ah, I see. Seeing you makes me feel nostalgic. Jesus awkwardly scratched her head, unable to think of an appropriate response. Given that Jesus' mother was the former ruler of Bastet, it was natural for her to have known the prophet. Yet, as Jesus recalled old memories, she couldn't help but wonder if the relationship between the two had gone beyond mere diplomacy. Did they fuck? Are you my stepmother? Sorry. Sorry. Dale, who had been standing motionless like a statue, let out a faint sound of displeasure. Sensing trouble, Jesus quickly grabbed Dale's arm, pulling her back slightly. Forgive her, Your Grace. She had a rough night and isn't feeling her best. Jesus stepped forward, hiding Dale behind her back, quickly coming up with an excuse. Whether or not the prophet noticed Jesus' anxious efforts to block Dale's heated glare, she simply lowered her gaze, calm and gentle, and seemingly unbothered. Please, I do not mind at all. The prophet's benevolent glance peeked past Jesus' shoulder, but Dale blatantly turned away, as if swatting an irritating fly. Have you lost your mind? Do you even realize who you're glaring at? She's our boss! No, the monarch of this entire nation, you idiot! Jesus discreetly pinched Dale's arm as a warning. Warming? I'm warming. warning, but her attempt at intimidation proved completely futile. The prophet only smiled, as if amused by their exchange. Agent Hisu, would you care to take a short walk with me? Just the two of us. Dale does not like that. She likes me. Twirls hair. Pardon me? The unexpected request falling from the prophet's lips startled Heisu. Even as Heisu repeated pardon in disbelief, the prophet's clear, round eyes continued to gaze steadily upon her. You can go. Just don't wander too far. Ryan's words served as permission, nudging Heisu gently from behind. Why would she call me aside? It's not like we're close or anything. Heisu was no longer the heir to Bastet's ruling family, nor did she hold any significant political value. Could this possibly be about my mother? Yes, Prophet. If I'm acceptable company, then I'll gladly join you. Heisu responded cheerfully, offering her usual practice-friendly smile. Yet even as she spoke, she felt the prickling sensation of Dale's intense fury burning into her back. What on earth are you so angry about? Dale had always detested interacting with anyone except Heisu. In the past, she'd flare up in anger whenever someone dared to step across the boundary, she said, but such fiery outbursts had gradually grown rarer since she'd reached adulthood. It had therefore been quite some time since Heisu had witnessed Dale's hostility laid bare so openly. For Dale to show this much animosity, Heisu stole a quick look at the prophet. Does she have something against the prophet? I think Dale knows something. That we don't. Also, why is it so quiet? With her questions unresolved, Heisu trailed after the prophet, footsteps heavy as they approached the tree of the sun. Together, they ascended the small hill and stopped beneath the towering branches of the great tree. Sunlight gently filtering through the dense clusters of leaves, scattered along the branches extending from a thick, intricately twisted trunk. Heisu and the prophet stood serenely beneath the warm and comforting light. Ah, this is so pretty! This place is dear to me. At the prophet's words, Heisu turned to face her, but her eyes weren't directed towards Heisu. Her gaze rested on the bustling city below, to the civilians of Ra, busy and vibrant as they went about their days. Or Dale's just insanely jealous. I think she's jealous of everyone. But, like, Heisu just said, like, she hasn't really been showing that kind of animosity as in her adulthood. So, kind of weird. So, as if in answer to her words, the leaves of the tree rustled softly in the breeze. Yes, it is to me as well. Looking at the prophet's benevolent smile, Heisu answered without hesitation. However, the prophet's expression suddenly turned sorrowful, as she quietly lowered her head. Your Grace, pardon me. Did I say something wrong? Heisu stood awkwardly, unsure of how to respond. Then the prophet parted her lips as if to speak, but hesitated. There is a certain passage in the scripture. Flesh is sin, and the body is its incarnation. Bound to Ha, the flesh, humans cling to life and fall into sin. Her voice carried the gravity of penance, as if spoken in a prayer. I, too, am a sinner, shackled by Ha. I exist only as a servant to Ra. My only choice is to sin, to survive and lay bare my sins before our great mother. Heisu held her breath, listening silently to this confession. If not for the subtle rustling of the leaves brushing against her ears, she might have thought time itself had stopped. Flesh is sin, and the body is its incarnation? Heisu repeated the words silently to herself when a rush of indescribable emotions overtook her, causing her fists to clench so tightly that crescent-shaped marks formed in her palms. Do you recall what I've said before? Well, along the past? The prophet was carefully observing Heisu's reaction. Within her expression, full of gentle consideration, was a subtle yet earnest longing. What did she say to me again? Heisu remembered meeting the prophet as a child, but try as she might, she couldn't recall their exact conversation. I owe you an apology, Your Grace. An almost guilty feeling rising within her, Heisu bowed her head apologetically towards the prophet. You needn't be. I'm only here to watch, to see whom you will love, whom you will choose. Whom I choose? Heisu, wearing a puzzled expression, looked up at the prophet, who only returned her gaze with a quiet, unreadable smile. Shall we head back? Yes, Your Grace. The prophet, the messenger who conveyed Ra's voice, was a being closer to divinity. Was a being Jesus, was a being closer to divinity than anyone else in this world, wielding absolute and unrivaled authority. Yet in those fleeting moments they had shared, Jesus saw her not as a divine sovereign, but as a merely human, a solitary soul teetering on a tightrope, crushed beneath the weight of an immense destiny. Feeling a strange tenderness well up in her chest, Jesus extended her hand without thinking. The path is uneven, Your Grace. Please take my hand. Jesus gently clasped the warm hand that settled down onto her own. Perhaps more time had passed than she realized. When Jesus and the prophet descended the hill, the streets were considerably more crowded than before. Most of them were tourists visiting Solar City. People dressed slightly wander around, sipping their sundrops or following tour guides towards the temple in groups. Well, September is peak season after all. Solaris Day, the founding day of the land of Solar, Ra, was celebrated worldwide as a common holiday, making Solar City particularly crowded with visitors during the season. Amidst the noisy murmurs of the dense crowd filling the streets, Jesus noticed Adora's head peeking clearly above the others. "'Cause she's so tall! Yum, 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 I love me some tall ladies." Adora stands out wherever she goes. "Excuse me, please, we need to get through." Recognizing Jesus as an agent of Eclipse and spotting the prophet beside her, people gradually began making the way. "Prophet, please stay close to me." Staying protectively beside the prophet, Jesus pushed through the crowd, heading towards Adora, whose head stood out clearly above everyone else's. Perhaps pushed by the crowd's mass, someone suddenly fell forward, hitting the ground with a thud. "Are you all right?" The prophet reacted quicker than Jesus. She had already stepped forward, a flicker of concern passing over her face. "Prophet?" A woman's speech was heavily slurred, as if she were deeply intoxicated, yet there was no trace of alcohol in the air around her. "Something's not right." "Are you all right? Perhaps you're feeling unwell?" "Your Grace, wait!" Sensing danger, Jesus swiftly moved towards them. "You! It's all your fault!" A blade flashed chillingly from the woman's grasp, slicing upwards through the air. Jesus threw herself in front of the prophet, reaching out instinctively towards the glinting blade. The keenly sharpened knife mercilessly ripped through Jesus' palm. Blood splattered, ripping through her glove, exposing the flesh, torn open by the blade's ruthless edge. Had it been a direct strike, it might have taken more than just skin. Shit, knock her down. You can't tie me! In a flash, Jesus thrusted her legs towards the woman's foot. Her foot hooked sharply around the woman's ankle, sending her crashing helplessly to the ground. Without missing a beat, Jesus seized the chance to pin her down, quickly straddling her body. At first, the crowd, drawn by curiosity, simply murmured, "Are they filming a movie or something?"
Yeah!
Only moments later, realizing the seriousness of the situation, people screamed and began scattering frantically.
Let me go! Let me go! I'll kill you!
With bloodshot eyes, the woman shrieked furiously up at Jesus. She thrashed about wildly, more beast than human in her frenzied state. Is she on drugs or something? Kneeling firmly upon her struggling body, Jesus caught hold of the woman's wrist as she swung the knife recklessly. With a swift twist, a sickening crack rang out and the weapon fell clattering on the ground. Judging by her clumsy grip and the complete lack of any attempt to use supernatural powers, she was obviously just an ordinary human, devoid of any divine authority. Then why is she so strong? Jesus should have subdued her opponent with ease, yet oddly, Jesus' knees, which were pinning the woman down, began trembling uncontrollably. It even felt as if the woman's body was swelling? Die! Jesus strained every muscle in her body to suppress the force surging beneath her, but it showed no signs of subsiding. Where are my pals? Adora was just there! Damn it! Every time Jesus exerted more force, fresh blood spurted out from the wound in her palm, dripping onto the woman's face. Drip. Yum. The dark crimson dots slid down the woman's cheeks, tracing twin lines along her skin. Then... Ah! I don't know who's screaming. As the woman violently twisted and struggled beneath her, Jesus' body began tilting dangerously to the left. Following gravity, the drops of blood ran down the bridge of the woman's nose, drawing a sharp red line across her face before vanishing past her lips. Ugh! The woman suddenly stiffened, her body locked up as she swallowed hard. She let out an animalistic scream, coughing and spluttering as black blood burst from her mouth. With a devastating force incomparable to moments before, she swung her arm wildly towards Jesus. Struck by that bestial strength, Jesus' body was thrown through the air, crashing violently into a market stall. Ugh! Jesus, fall back! Before she knew it, Ryan appeared and stood protectively in front of Jesus. Captain, the Prophet's safety is our top priority. All units, enter alert status. I'll take the lead. Yes, ma'am. The woman clutched her head, shooting abruptly to her feet and screaming grotesquely, arms flailing into the air. Ryan's uniform fluttered as she summoned the wind into her hands. But before the gale could surge forward, she crumpled to the ground, collapsing like a puppet with its strings severed. Max? Wind still swirled around her fingertips. Ryan called for Max, instructing her to assess the situation. Max approached cautiously, reaching out to press her fingers against the woman's neck. Confirmed. Hey, IA, I'm guessing that's killed in action? She's dead? Jesus stared at her bloody fist, recalling the moment her blood had fallen onto the woman's face. Whoa. Baby girl. Hell yeah. Baby girl. That was the prologue! I love women. Whoa. Whoa. Dude, what? That's awesome. That was just the prologue. Dude. The art in this game, mwah. Top notch. 10 out of 10. Amazing. Wowee. I'm hyped. I'm so hyped. Cause, you know, lesbians plus also incredible story. Something crazy's gonna happen. The bird mask, the skull mask, the mask. It looks so cool, actually. I'm so excited for it. This game is going to have some sad moments. I think it's gonna I think it's gonna rip our heart out. I have a feeling this game is absolutely gonna take us for a ride. I'm cool with it. I love it. I love those kind of stories, but goddamn. If anything happens to my baby girl, Dale, devs, you'll be hearing from me. I'm kidding. At the request of Horus, the Investigation Department Operations Team 1, 2, and 3 were urgently assembled. Oh my. Leading Ryan and the other members, Jesus stepped forward and tapped her ID card against the meeting room entrance. Inside, all members of Team 2 and 3 had already arrived. As soon as Jesus and the rest of Team 1 took their seats, the captain of Team 3 confirmed their attendance and began the meeting. Thank you for all responding promptly to this urgent summons. We'll now begin our investigation team meeting on the Hyena and organization terrorist attack. Everyone cool? It's gonna die? Yikes, I imagine that. I hope not. If Dale dies, I'll be so sad. Nobody better die. Not even, okay. Not just nobody. I have a feeling somebody will. I'm gonna be so sad. Recently, we've witnessed numerous so-called random assault cases worldwide. These simultaneous attacks have grown too frequent and widespread for local police forces to handle. Eclipse has determined these attacks to be acts of organized terrorism, and has launched a special investigation into the smuggling organization known as Hyena, which is suspected to be orchestrating them. I need to pee. I'll be right back. I will... BRB. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'll BRB. Yuna. Primus just alien stage pilled. All that's on her mind is alien stage because she's been gooning to it for like the past 2 weeks. Why did I say hyena like hyena? Am I good? Thus, we've decided to establish a dedicated hyena terror task force. The task force will primarily consist of Operations Team 1, 2, and 3, with us, Team 3, assuming command given our ongoing experience investigating the hyena. Because of me? No, don't blame that on me. I introduced it to you, but you yourself got an alien stage pilled. It's up to you to actually like it. Ow. This was information Team 1 had already received earlier through Captain Ryan. All assailants involved in the incidents thus far have reportedly exhibited bloodshot eyes and unnatural levels of strength. None of them have been confirmed to possess supernatural abilities. Yet, we've observed abnormal tissue swelling or enhancements. Why'd I say it like that? According to our investigations, these symptoms appear to result from ingestion of a drug of unknown origin. We've also received confirmation that the individual who attacked the Prophet yesterday exhibited these same symptoms. Beep. As she pressed down on the remote control, a photograph of a haggard woman with hollow sunken eyes appeared on the white screen. That's the one who attacked the Prophet yesterday. Ew! Stinky! Chad, she goons just as much, if not more! Alright, I'm just turning it down. Is that a little better? Also, don't call me out, that's against the NDA. You know, this reminds me of The Ring. Hold on. I'm blind right now. Da-da-da. Yes, thank you for letting me know. I would hate for it to be too loud. Okay. Name, Colin Ada Ida. Jesus. Ah, my knee. Ah! Hold on. I gotta get in my sitting position, which is where I have my feet up. On the chair. Think of L from Death Note. Think of L from Death Note. Did this game just come out? In August, it came out. So yes, it did just come out. Nationality Matt, age 25. Case summary: on September 2nd, 1529, an unidentified individual wielded a knife against the prophet in front of the Solar Temple Plaza. On-site agents were immediately dispatched and suppressed the situation at hand. Incident details: time and location, September 2nd, 1529, Solar Temple Plaza. Incident: an unidentified individual attacked the prophet with a knife. Initial response: Eclipse agents were promptly deployed and subdued the assailant. Cause of death: the individual died on site due to sudden acute shock of unknown cause after being subdued. Her name was Colin, 27, unemployed, originally from Matt. She died yesterday, September 22nd at 12:23 p.m. due to acute shock. Acute shock? I'm acute. Your stream's the only result that comes up on the internet search? Hell yeah! I'm famous! Yeah, it just came out, and the devs so kindly gave me the key to this game, and they were just asking like if I would be interested in this game, and I'm like, Yuri, no men, I'm sold. Like, you don't even have to you sell it to me. I'm sold already. That's like my perfect game, and it has like some crazy mysteries in it. I love it. It's perfect. The scenes from yesterday were played vividly in Jesus' mind, and it's the beautiful woman in mind, like a panorama. She furrowed her brow slightly, tightening her bandaged hand. A few days ago, Colin obtained a tourist visa and had been staying in a hotel in the heart of Solar City. Her precise motive for carrying out the terrorist attack remains unclear, but among Colin's belongings, we found this item. September 2nd, 12 o'clock, Solar Market, Blade Prophet. Ruh-roh! A series of short words and a torn note. These match the methods used by the Hyena organization when issuing directives. We also discovered a teleportation gem. The coordinates matched exactly the crime scene. Given the deceased assailant's financial background, we suspect she didn't obtain this gem on her own, but rather received it alongside her orders. Additionally, bite marks were discovered on the inner side of her thigh. Bite marks? So, she just had some really crazy sex? Sorry. All Hyena operators have been confirmed to bear identical tattoos resembling animal bite marks on their inner thighs. The Hyena ran across her arms, letting out a quiet groan. Her furrowed brows likely stemmed from the lack of available information regarding Hyena. I also only know them as an organization distributing illegal weapons, nothing more. She got a little freaky and then died. That's how I want to go, getting freaky and then I die. Throughout this long stretch of 1,500 years of history, Hyena certainly wasn't the only organization that attempted illegal weapon trafficking. In every era, attempts to forge and smuggle weapons beyond Eclipse's watch were hardly uncommon. Yet the overwhelming force of the Spear of Eclipse, the might of supernatural powers, ensured that such efforts posed little danger, whether in ancient or medieval times. But now in the modern age, with artifact engineering at its zenith, the balance has shifted. Hyena has begun distributing gemstones infused with destructive powers, especially those fashioned for devastating explosions across the globe. In this way, they have become a grave thorn in Eclipse's side. Eclipse has aggressively worked to dismantle this organization for several years now. Years. But the investigations repeatedly ended without meaningful progress. There was even some agents who joked, maybe the Hyena is just an urban legend, as there was no reliable leads pointing to the organization. At least Team 3, who've been exclusively handling the Hyena investigation, should have more intel. We, Team 3, have nothing. Recently obtained information that Hyena has started trafficking drugs. We've identified a significant correlation between the timing of the Hyena's drug trades and the emergence of the random assault incidents. If the global acts of terror are indeed caused by drugs distributed by Hyena, it's reasonable to assume the organization is coordinating them. Is there any possibility that another organization might have distributed the drugs instead? We can't entirely rule out that possibility. However, we believe only the Hyena possesses the global reach and capability to handle such specialized substances. A weapon smuggling organization now venturing into drug trafficking? Has there been any progress in investigating Hyena's leader? Unfortunately, our investigation was stalled. Even though we do manage to catch a lead, we end up grasping at shadows. The lower ranks of hyena are mainly individuals desperate for money or without personal connections. They use these people disposably, discarding them once they've served their purpose. We estimate there are at least 200 low-level operatives within the organization. We remain completely in the dark as to where and how they're recruiting new operatives. I believe the reason why the hyena can operate so brazenly, yet remain completely concealed, is because an influential figure might be backing them. Team 1 will focus our investigations on identifying hyena's trade partners and uncovering its sponsors. Then we, Team 2, will search Colin's residence and question her acquaintances. Noted, thank you. Among the recently arrested terrorists, many were identified as hyena's operatives through their distinctive tattoos. They say it's tattoos, but we're certain they just got freaky with the boss or something. It's believed that most of them, like Colin, were individuals exploited and discarded by hyena. Although they're only low-level pawns, now that hyena has started to reveal themselves, I believe we now have a rare opportunity to finally apprehend them. We will split into two Why is there gold splatters? We will split into two groups to Is this cum? Into two groups to what is that? Sorry. We will split into two groups to conduct this investigation. Max and Adora, you'll head to Bastet. Jesus and Dale, you're off to Tefnut. Ryan instructed the Team 1 members, arms crossed over her chest. Upon arrival, you receive materials and instructions from the local branch. Afterwards, the specific course of investigation is up to your own judgment. Yes, ma'am. I get to be with Dale. It's mustard. Don't worry. It's calm. In this world, women come gold. I need to be in this world. I need to. Darling, I love you. Oh, hi. Who are you? Well, Dr. Ricky. Shit, what voice do I give you?
Hurry up and go inside. I have a lot to do.
Mr. Ricky's... Mr.? Ew, there's no misters here. Dr. Ricky spoke sharply, scratching at her disheveled red hair. Ha ha ha. Jesus flashed Dr. Ricky a brief smile before stepping towards the teleportation gate. Despite its impressive name, the teleportation gate was a modest-looking, standing 7 feet tall and just wide enough for two people, resembling a shabby iron frame with an empty center. Isn't this the first mission that the two of us have taken on a mission to get... Isn't this the first time that the two of us has taken on a mission together since graduation exams? No, to be precise, it's been 3 years since Operation Oz. Oh, right, yes, I remember that. Jesus turned towards Dale and flashed a bright, toothy grin. Since it has been so long since she'd been alone on a mission with Dale, Jesus felt excited, setting aside her tangled thoughts like a child anticipating a field trip. I mean, they 100% are dating, right? They are cuddling while they're sleeping together. Dale said they're dating, so they're dating. The teleportation gate, previously sitting inert in the lab like a decorative sculpture, began humming as it activated. From within its edges, crimson rays of light spilled out, quickly filling the once empty rectangular frame with vivid red. Without any hesitation, Jesus and Dale stepped forward into the glowing red barrier. After the familiar wave of dizziness, akin to being tossed about in a turbulent plane. Whew. I really can't get used to that feeling. Jesus and Dale arrived at the Tefnut branch connected via the teleportation gate from the headquarters. Unlike the main headquarters in Solar City, Eclipse branches in other nations were much smaller, staffed by just a few dozen members. Only 2 agents were stationed guarding the teleportation gate, while other personnel either patrolled around the branch or waited inside their office. This made sense, considering the gate couldn't be accessed by just anyone. Only a select few administrators registered in the system had permission to adjust coordinates or activate the gate device. Given that the likelihood of unauthorized personnel appearing here was practically zero, it was illogical for the branch to focus its staff resources elsewhere. Good day, ma'am. I don't know why I said it like that. When Jesus and Dale reached the Tefnut branch lobby, an agent stationed inside the glass booth greeted them politely. Thank you for your hard work. Jesus responded with a friendly smile and a casual salute. Please present your IDs, agent IDs for verification. Jesus and Dale took out their ID cards from their pockets and held them out. After briefly confirming their IDs, the agents swiftly typed on their keyboard. Verification complete, good luck on your mission! Again, why am I saying it like that? Receiving a respectful nod from the agent, the two stepped outside the building. Ah, it looks so sick! The capital of Tefnut, Perus. Ah, it's so hot. You're so hot. As soon as they stepped out of the building, Jesus scowled at the relentless sun blazing mercilessly down upon them. You've only been out for a second. Aren't you hot? Jesus waved her hand frantically, trying in vain to fan herself cool. Despite her enthusiastic efforts, beads of sweat were already forming on her forehead. Tefnut was a desert land famous for its scorching year-round summer climate. And here in Tefnut's capital, Perus, blessed by Ra, there was a magnificent emerald-colored oasis amidst the harsh desert landscape. Surrounded by vibrant and luxurious buildings, Perus was renowned as a popular tourist resort city. A typical bustling tourist spot filled with endless attractions and crowds of people. The Eclipse branch in Tefnut was located at the heart of its capital, surrounded by excellent infrastructure. Just a few steps outside from the exit, the city's vibrant economic and cultural heart warmly greeted Jesus and Dale with its dazzling sights. Oh, this is insane! But what truly stopped Jesus in her tracks wasn't the grand skyscrapers overlooking the cityscape, but rather the tantalizing spice-infused aromas from the market stalls, skewered lamb generously seasoned with Tefnut's signature spices and pepper, sizzling pork and beef steaks grilled on iron plates, fiery red shrimp skewers topped with chopped chili peppers. Given the country's heat, Tefnut's cuisine was known for its strong flavors, perfectly suited to Jesus' tastes for bold, spicy foods. I can't take spice. I'm really bad with spice. I had a bulldog ramen, and I only could do like 2 drops of the sauce. And even then, I was like, oh. One time, I had a different type of spicy noodles, and I put the whole spice packet in. I literally couldn't eat it. I was burning, and I was like, I can't eat this because like the spice was so bad. I couldn't, like, I had no appetite anymore. Whenever she returned from mission quarters, Dale's not into spicy food, so let's order beef steak for her. Oh, that's a good girlfriend, always getting to something that her girlfriend would like. Within just a few steps, Jesus' hands grew heavy, weighed down by the various bags of food. After quietly observing Jesus' enthusiastic shopping spree, Dale finally opened her mouth. Mouth. That's enough. Okay. At Dale's curt command, Jesus reluctantly followed behind, wiping her mouth with lingering regret. Jesus and Dale booked a hotel before officially beginning their mission. Although the branch could arrange lodging upon request, they preferred staying in hotels during field missions to better enjoy the local atmosphere. Since Jesus' hands were occupied with bags full of food, Dale touched the key card to the door of the room. The room was slightly larger than an ordinary business hotel, furnished with 2 single beds, a 32-inch TV, a small table, and a work desk. Dale, eat first. With the entire shrimp skewer stuffed into her mouth, Jesus set the heavy food bags on the table, lightly dusting off her hands. 1 second. Barely acknowledging Jesus' words, Dale completely ignored the enticing aroma, sat down on the desk, and opened her laptop. Their usual approach was to let Dale gather as much information as she wanted first, then they would move into action together. Oh, Jin Jang Sun, her songs are amazing. When Jesus switched on the TV, a stage performance featuring a currently popular singer appeared on screen. Tip tap, tip tap. Dale, eat while you work. Sitting down on the chair next to Dale, Jesus chewed on her lamb skewer as she tried speaking to her once again. However, Dale had already entered deep concentration mode, silently moving her fingers while the white rectangle of the screen reflected in her eyes. Taking out the plastic knife that came packaged with the food, Jesus placed it on the meat, still warm, and began slicing it off with a soft scrape. Man, I want beef, steak or whatever? I'm hungry. I want to eat too. Can you feed me, Jesus, please? Can you feed me as well? She then tapped a bite-sized piece of beef with the fork and lightly tapped it against Dale's lips. Here, madame, delicious beef steak for you. What? For a moment, Dale's sharp eyes flashed towards Jesus, but please just try it. Seeing Jesus' cheerful smile and a silent mouthing, the furrow between Dale's brows gently melted away. With an expression of resigned acceptance, she obediently opened her mouth like a baby chick. Delicious, isn't it? She's so cute. Dale let out a small, quiet laugh, her lips softly parting before quickly refocusing on her work. Scrape, scrape. One deliciously cut piece of beef entered Dale's mouth. Scrape, scrape. The next slice swiftly vanished into Jesus.
Nom 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 nom. Tip tap tip tap. Scrape scrape. Nom nom.
Tap tap. Oh, they're together. That's what I'm saying. Like, these two, 100%, like, without a doubt, they're together. They have to be. Jesus' actions resembled a mother bird feeding her chick. For a while, they understand each other. They understand each other so well. And they sleep together. Like, literally, like, arms, like, spooning each other while they're sleeping. Because, like, they were saying in the beginning that they can't, like, Dale struggles to sleep by herself because she has a lot of nightmares. So they end up sleeping together. And I'm like, me when? For a while, the only sounds filling the room were the chewing of food and the rhythmic tapping on the laptop keyboard. About an hour passed. Dale closed her laptop with a snap. Done? After completing her task of feeding, the mother bird laid comfortably on the bed, lifting only her head slightly to glance at Dale. Yeah. Dale smiled faintly, her lips curving upwards, though her eyes showed no trace of amusement. Others often found Dale's enigmatic smile difficult to read, but Jesus recognized it as the expression Dale made whenever she found intriguing information. Jesus naturally shifted over, making room for Dale, who then sank onto the soft bedding, leaning back against the headboard. Twice a year, a secret party of nobles is held in Tufnut. In this year, that party is scheduled for next week. The order from HR were to investigate it. A week from now? Perfect timing then. Jesus spoke casually, flipping through TV channels with the remote until she paused at a screen showing an intense action scene. Their conversation continued as Jesus and Dale watched two characters fighting on screen. Just like Captain said, the fact that the hyena hadn't been caught yet means someone powerful is behind them. Those who possess enough wealth to purchase weapons while avoiding Eclipse's watchful eye, and who require private armed forces, are nobles. We should be able to get some information on them there. Roger that. Understood. And our job is to infiltrate it then, right? Even if it was for the sake of the investigation, unauthorized hacking wouldn't end with just a written apology if it gets discovered. Dale said she was confident that she wouldn't get caught, and Ryan is also aware, but she doesn't mind as long as no one else finds out. Right, we'll do the kind of field investigation that you love so much. Perhaps bored with the TV, Dale's eyes gradually disappeared beneath her eyelids, her pale brown eyelashes drooping softly like delicate eaves. Feeling Dale's head gently coming to rest on her shoulder, Jesus stole a small glance, then turned her eyes back towards the TV. Ever since their time at the academy, Dale had been a prime talent intensely coveted by Amit, the intelligence department. If Dale had chosen Amit, she might have risen to the position of captain by now. But Dale had chosen Horus, the investigation department's operation team. She had done so solely for the purpose of staying with Jesus. I want to be with Dale too, so there's no other option, really. It's not like I can join the intelligence department. As Jesus was lost in thought, Dale's quiet voice drifted softly in her ear. Team 3, they were moving too cautiously. Huh? They neglected the investigation because they were too concerned about what the nobles would think. You think so? Think about it. Unless that's the case, how can Eclipse lack so much information about the hyena? That's nonsense. You know, it's actually the chief of the intelligence department who's covering for Team 3, right? Yeah? Whether it was the investigation departments or the intelligence department, it was an open secret that Eclipse's high-ranking officials were deeply influenced by powerful figures. It wasn't just an internal Eclipse struggle for dominance, but also reflected the political tensions among the nations themselves. Apart from Matt, other than every other country concentrated power among the gifted ones. These gifted ones were descendants of the first ones, their supernatural powers regarded as precious heirlooms. Naturally, society became divided between those who possessed gifts and those who did not. Those who wielded the authority used it to further solidify their rule. Since the peace treaty forbade any nation from maintaining military forces, Eclipse, acting as the sole permitted sphere, became a magnet for gifted individuals from around the world. It was only natural, then, that Eclipse became the center of power. Not only did nobles from each nation eagerly send their precious children to Eclipse, but they also sponsored promising military academy cadets, molding them into pawns suited for their tastes. I know how to read. Thus, Eclipse had quietly become the hidden battleground for the four nations' struggle for power. The chief of the intelligence department has strong connections with nobles from other countries. Imagine the uproar of Eclipse if Eclipse started investigating nobles directly just to catch Hyena. Eclipse, which should be keeping every nation in check, was actually busy minding the opinions of foreign kings and nobles. Only now, when things had reached a point where ignoring them became impossible, did they start moving as if their feet were on fire. Yeah, it's rotten to the core. Heisu usually took no interest in political battles, but now, an inexplicable irritation surged through her, causing her to press on the TV remote with growing frustration. Just then, Heisu heard footsteps outside the door and suddenly paused. Outside the door suddenly paused and immediately pricked up her ears. She was about to shift into alert mode at the stranger's presence when... "Excuse me, ma'am, your package has arrived." A polite voice, presumably belonging to the hotel staff, flowed gently into the room. Finally. Without hesitation, Dale slid off the bed and opened the door. She scribbled something onto the white slip of paper, handed it to the hotel employee, and accepted the box in return. "What's that?" "Admission tickets." "What admission tickets?" "We need tickets to attend the Noble's party." Dale tore off the tape stuck to the box and took out a strange object from inside. I just had this thought. Actually, I lost my thought. I was gonna say something about, the women do not have this, standard to be, how's to say? They can just be them, right? They can look masculine, they can look feminine or whatever. And obviously I'm not saying women now don't. But, there was no male influence in the way that they are. I love women. Dale tore off the tape stuck to the box and took out a strange object from inside. White plastic. What is that? As Jesus squinted to focus on the strange object, Dale raised her head and explained. "To enter the party, we'll need names registered as members and these masks." With those words, Dale casually tossed something white towards Heisu. Hey. Heisu's hand shot up to catch the mask as it arced gracefully through the air. "What is this thing? It's creepy. Wearing this to a party? What the hell are those nobles thinking?" Heisu grumbled, slipping the mask onto her face and looked back at Dale, who immediately burst into laughter at the absurd sight. "How'd you even get these? More importantly, how'd you get these so fast? Who do you think you're working with? If there were demons in this world, they would laugh like that. Of course, you are the great Dale, the genius." As if it were something that always happened, or as if those words were the absolute truth. Dale responded to Jesus' teasing voice with a casual shrug before continuing to speak. "As of today, we are..." "We bid you welcome." "Yes?" "May I have your name, please?" "Ah, we are..." Sorry. "Oliver. And Lilith." Hey. They're so cool. "Perhaps you've been indicated you'd be unable to attend today. I'm afraid your names aren't on the list." "That can't be. Check again." "My sincerest apologies. Even if you're a registered member, entry is strictly prohibited if your name isn't on today's guest list." The gatekeeper checked the list again and shook her head apologetically. Dale usually doesn't make mistakes like this. Heisu glanced quickly at Dale's expression before stepping forward. "Well, isn't this absolutely ridiculous? Do you even realize who we are?" Heisu stiffened her neck and shrugged her shoulders dramatically. "If there's no choice, we might have to..." The moment Heisu saw the subtle dimness in Dale's eyes, she nervously swallowed her unease. "I really want to avoid having Dale use her power. If Dale used her supernatural ability, everything would undoubtedly be resolved smoothly. After all, she could easily make a document listing Oliver and Lilith's name appear before the gatekeeper's eyes. But once the fingers of divine authority touch the lake of someone's consciousness, even the most careful contact could create unpredictable ripples afterwards. Because of this, Heisu had always done her best to prevent situations where Dale would have to use her powers on civilians. This person is just a gatekeeper. What should I do? Don't make me choose. Moreover, Eclipse strictly prohibits the use of supernatural abilities on civilians under its regulations. Even though no one would notice if Dale used her ability right now, They're acquaintances of mine. Let them through. An unfamiliar voice cut through Jesus' spiraling thoughts. Jesus, Dale, and even the gatekeeper, all heads turned simultaneously towards the voice's source. Oh! Wow. Sorry, I didn't expect that. A figure in a pristine white suit stood stiffly like an elegant statue framed against the extravagant backdrop of the party. Though through the open doorway behind her, vibrant sounds that I'm in love. Prim just fucking gooned right now. She came. Vibrant sounds from the lavish gathering cascaded out in the waves. The gatekeeper, evidently surprised by the sudden appearance, stared blankly at the source of the voice for a moment, frozen in place. Let them in! At the commanding repetition, the gatekeeper flinched as though struck by an electric current, then quickly adjusted to a courteous and respectful tone. Acquaintances of the host, my apologies. Please proceed this way. Passing the gatekeeper, who bowed deeply in respect, Jesus and Dali slowly stepped into the square gateway of indulgence. Wait, they're just letting us in? Do you know her? Is she someone you planted? Maybe a spy? As if. This design is so sick. Ooh! Imagine it's the Prophet. It's probably not, because I don't think the Prophet is that broad, but still. It would have been crazy. Can you imagine you're with a woman, close your eyes everybody, you're with a woman, she has such broad shoulders, and she just picks you up like you're nothing? Yes. Anyways, exchanging whispered words, Jesus and Dali stole glances at the goat mask whose presence was steadily expanding within their view. But why would they let us in so easily? Do we just happen to look like Oliver and Lilith? Beneath the mask, Dale's golden eyes gleamed sharply, meeting Jesus' own. Even in the dim glow beneath her narrow gaze, it was immediately clear how unimpressed she was by Jesus' suggestion. Among a crowd where stood everyone wore identical masks, the woman alone stood with her distinctive goat mask. Only nobles from Hathor wear masks like that. In Hathor, a country that maintained a strict caste system based on supernatural abilities, the nobles wore specifically crafted masks, hiding their exalted faces from the vulgar. Each noble family had distinctive masks, unique in both crest and material. Thus, masks in Hathor served as clear indicators of one authority. Many opt for animal designs, but a goat? Really? Okay, goats are cool. Like, goat masks are awesome. What do you mean, goat, really? That's like... I mean, it's more cliche, I guess, but they're awesome. Since goats were often associated with evil, Jesus felt uneasy, as if she'd accidentally stepped on a piece of gum stuck on the floor. Yes, like Cult of the Lamb? Is she even trying to conceal her identity? She whispered as quietly as possible into Dale's ear, but received no response. Couldn't someone easily trace her identity from the mask? Dale remained silent, stepping forward with her narrowed gaze fixed on the goat mask. Stepping through a rectangular doorway framed like a portrait, they entered a richly perfumed space where the goat mask appeared to have been waiting their arrival, greeting them with courteous nod. I humbly ask you to generously forgive my subordinate's mistake. Would. Right, guys? Come on. I would. This? Yes, I don't even know what they look like, but yes, keep the mask on. The goat mask figure had drawn close, unnoticed. From beneath the mask flowed a polite voice. Though the voice maintained a courteous tone, there was a strange stiffness to it, as if, like the mask itself, it had been carved meticulously by someone's hand. Seeing a figure who clearly held higher status than anyone else in the room, so respectfully placed a hand over her heart and offered such an apology, sat uneasily with Jesus. Yes, well, if you say so. Jesus deliberately shrugged her shoulders with an exaggerated, casual gesture. Oof! A Doberman? At the sudden noise rising from below, Jesus came close to flinching. With practiced familiarity, the woman casually stroked the head of the Doberman that had suddenly appeared beside her. It would be nice to talk more, but unfortunately I must take my leave. May the blessings of God be upon you. Whoosh! She just fucking... yeet! She's introverted like me. We meant to be together. As so perfectly synchronized, the woman turned her back to Heisu and Dale while the Doberman spun, showing its back and back and tail. The strange scene felt oddly discordant against the carefree atmosphere of the party, where the nobles laughed merrily, wine glasses in hand. I'm so sorry. Bringing such a big Doberman to a party without a leash? What is she thinking? Going on a hunt? A Doberman, which had been calmly following its master, suddenly snapped its head towards Heisu. I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to... I'm not panting. Though she knew it was impossible, to Heisu it seemed like as if the Doberman's mouth curled upward into a smirk. It looked almost human, and goosebumps prickled sharply on her skin. Dale, I swear that dog is mocking me. Stop babbling and get over here. That goat must be one in charge, right? Forget that, gather intel. Yeah. Heisu waved dismissively towards Dale, replying casually as the two split apart. I got an achievement, said Masquerade. Drink some water? I am drinking water. I promise I am. Also, congrats, you're number 2 now. I got so many achievements. Man, I love achievements. Heisu waved dismissively towards Dale, replying casually as the two naturally split apart. As she glanced around the party floor, scanning for potential targets, a noble's excited voice soon reached Heisu's ear. I recently acquired an exquisite gem. Heisu's instincts immediately flared up, blinking like an alarm inside her mind. Responding to her intuition, she casually took a wine glass from a passing waiter and began to move slowly towards the group where the voice originated. Let's see. Ooh, Heisu, yum yum. Time to eavesdrop. Pretending to admire the scenery outside the window, Heisu leaned nonchalantly against a nearby pillar beside the nobles gathering. What sort of gem is it? Gems from Bastet are becoming quite popular lately, aren't they? So I acquired this one. A vibrant red gemstone brooch was proudly pinned to the noble's chest. A Bastet gem? Still, aren't gems from Tefnut considered superior? Indeed, Tefnut's gems are unmatched. I have one myself. This isn't merely a teleportation gem. Hasn't Bastet been advancing technology recently? Despite its compact size, this gem allows teleportation not only for myself, but also anyone who's touching me. It's specially crafted, you see. Impressive, but is it truly necessary to share such a precious gem with others? There are always occasions when it's needed. I've heard rumors of your extensive social connections. Surely you're not using it for secret rendezvous at hidden locations. I'm still young-spirited. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's move on to another topic, shall we? I heard you recently acquired something rather unusual. Why am I flip-flopping accents here? Oh yes, indeed, how the fuck was it? I don't know. Indeed I did, though it's not a gemstone. Now you've piqued my curiosity. A bit of holy water. A bit of holy water. A bit of holy water. Holy water? You don't mean the blood of Ra from the scripture. The one rumored to grant immortality? At the mention of holy water, all nobles in the group reacted with intense interest. Holy water? What's that? Immortality, don't be absurd. It's probably just some narcotic that lowly commoners take. Though drinking holy water is said to grant immortality, it's also rumored to greatly enhance one's power. When I tested it on one of my servants, it did indeed seem to show effectiveness in that regard. Power? Surely you don't mean... Divine authority? The noble who had brought up the topic only smiled mischievously beneath her mask. Divine authority. Does it really strengthen supernatural abilities? What about the side effects? Aren't there any other side effects? None observed thus far. Where did you obtain such a thing? I acquired it from Hyena. Hyena. Hearing the name, Heisu nearly flinched involuntarily, but maintained her composure, keeping her gaze calmly directed towards the window. Hyena, could you introduce me to them as well? Hyena, you mean those arm dealers? The lawless criminal group? Lawless, you say? You truly know nothing at all, do you? Excuse you, what did you just say? My dear, please step aside for a moment. I'd also very much like to acquire some of that holy water myself. Speaking of which, I heard they're now starting to do business in the Solar City. It seems Aina will be staying with them for some time, so I'll introduce you once they return. As those words had been a signal, the nobles immediately shifted the topic, becoming immersed in conversations about their latest business ventures. Heisu gently placed her wine glass down to a passing tray and fluidly slipped away from the crowd. Her footsteps, light and swift, silently guided Heisu towards the balcony. I found you. Dale leaned against the balcony railing, gazing down quietly at the garden below. As if sensing Heisu's presence, she slowly turned her head. Hey, baby girl, how's it going? When their eyes met, Heisu raised her right hand in a playful greeting. Everyone gathered here is a high-ranking noble from various regions. Up we go! Heisu lightly hopped up and perched herself on the balcony railing. So it seems, they were bragging about jewels. That goat-masked one we saw earlier hosts this kind of party every year. A Pather noble, obviously. Yet she's chosen to hold this secretive gathering in Tefnut. Tefnut. Right. On the surface, Hathor and Tefnut might seem friendly enough, but they've been clashing swords since ancient times. That's why deep-rooted tensions remain even now. But a Hathor noble deliberately holding a strictly secretive party in Tefnut territory? It implies there's some mutual interest forming between Tefnut's powerful figures and Hathor's nobles. Alright, then let's turn this place upside down. Heisu flashed Dale a sprite's cheerful smile, and Dale replied with the patient expression of a loving mother reproving her child. Okay. This is a gathering exclusively of high-ranking nobles. If Eclipse swoops in without concrete evidence, that would be the start of a war. I know that, but so frustrating. Heisu grumbled, roughly tugging down the tie constricting her neck. Yet the suffocating feelings she had inside didn't subside at all. Wasn't Eclipse created to stop things like this? Feeling stifled by her inability to take even the first step towards solving the problem, Heisu found herself complaining to Dale, despite knowing that Dale wasn't the proper target to her frustration. She understood Dale's reasoning perfectly. In fact, Heisu was probably clearer on the reality of the situation than anyone else. Having once received their heir training as the heir of Basted's throne, she couldn't possibly remain ignorant of the contradictions blossoming at the far ends of politics. No matter how many treaties were signed to maintain peace, a system nourished solely by power would ultimately become like autumn leaves, shifting colors at the mere whim of those in favor. Just like now. In the end, peace is a story reserved only for those who possess power. The poison has already begun to spread. It will spread rapidly, and ultimately, the greatest harm will fall upon the weakest and most vulnerable. Those are the girlfriends! Give it up. As long as humans exist, chaos can't be prevented. Oof. Dale's voice, dry and neutral, neither warm nor cold, seeped quietly into Heisu's ears. Hidden in the shadows, her expression remained unseen even to Heisu. Woof. Then let's begin our second investigation meeting regarding the Hyena Organization terrorist attack. After Heisu and Dale returned to the headquarters, Team 3 promptly organized a second meeting. Damn it, I wanted to see them sleep together in the hotel room. Not like that, but just cuddling like they did in the beginning. All members from Team 1, 2, and 3 were present without exemption. Even agents currently out investigating seemed to have quickly wrapped up their tasks to attend. According to Team 2's report, Colin's residence was completely destroyed by fire, leaving no evidence to be found. Have we identified precisely when the fire occurred? Yes, the fire reportedly broke out due to a gas leak the day after Colin's death. We, Team 3, suspect that the hyena may have deliberately tied up loose ends. After making that statement, Team 3's captain glanced around the conference room at the gathered agents, unable to fully mask her anxiety. Thanks to Team 1's investigation, we've acquired new information indicating that Hyena deals in a drug known as holy water. Holy water? Those information she herself had reported, hearing it again made Heisu frown slightly. Disgusting bastards. What were they thinking naming a drug holy water? Holy water is a drug traded amongst nobles, rumored to either enhance supernatural abilities or serve as an elixir of immortality. Immortality? Most agents murmured the word, exchanging bewildered glances as though they just heard a foreign language for the first time. Some of them chuckled softly at the absurdity of a term straight out of a film or a comic book, while others became deeply serious, falling into thoughtful silence. Ryan, who had been staring down at the documents with a stern expression, opened her mouth. There have been numerous testimonies reporting that right before carrying out their attacks, the terrorists said, "I feel like I'm about to awaken my supernatural power." If we classify both the drug they consumed and the holy water under the same category as forms of supernatural power, then... The captain of the Team 3 nodded slightly towards Ryan. Given the unique characteristics of a drug associated with supernatural power, we can reasonably speculate that Hyena distributed this holy water not only to nobles, but possibly to other social classes as well. Additionally, we've acquired intel that Hyena will soon become active within Solar City. Thank you for obtaining such crucial information so promptly. The captain of Team 3's gaze, previously directed towards Ryan, now rested steadily upon Jesus and Dale. Analyzing the database we've accumulated thus far, it's clear Hyena consistently favors warehouses near ports for their transactions. We believe it's because smuggling weapons through docks proves easier compared to other methods. Therefore, we've compiled a list of locations within Solar City that Hyena may potentially use as their upcoming transactions. The captain of Team 3 pointed the remote towards the screen before the agents. Beep! With a quiet electronic chime, a bird's eye view map appeared on the stark white screen. On the flat surface of the map, several locations were distinctively marked with floating circles. These are the results for our research on the Westport, Eastport, and Northport. We identified warehouses close to docks that have been purchased recently but remained unused. Amongst these warehouses, we believe there's a high likelihood Hyena will conduct their next transaction. Do we have intel on the exact timing or details of Hyena's transactions? No, unfortunately, both the date and the specifics of the deal remain unknown. The captain of Team 3 smiled awkwardly, one corner of her mouth lifting slightly in regret. Therefore, I propose that each team conduct stakeouts in their assigned areas until we capture the scene of the transaction. Team 1 will handle the west, Team 2 will handle the east, and Team 3 will the north. Apparently the new equipment has been developed, so... With a tired look on her face, Ryan quietly gave orders to the team after leaving the meeting room. Go to the lab, collect your assigned equipment, then regroup. Yes, ma'am. After hearing the team's response, Ryan turned towards the lobby. The rest of Team 1 started walking in the opposite direction towards the development team's laboratory. We're heading there right away, huh? Max sighed deeply, exhausted, clearly evident in her eye. Seems like it. I don't want to face Dr. Ricky. Jesus laughed heartedly, playfully ruffling Max's already dispirited hair. Same here. Adora, who had been entertaining herself by bouncing around a sphere of water like a rubber ball, nodded vigorously in full agreement with Max's sentiment. Ricky, Eclipse's chief of Thoth, the science department, and the engineer responsible for equipment development, was notorious among agents as an eccentric. Why, I think she's funny. You're alone on that one, senior. She just doesn't get it. Max frowned deeply at Jesus, whose carefree, cheerful smile suggested it wasn't her concern at all. Ricky had once conducted an animal experiment to test the limits of birthless propagation, resulting in a herd of goats so massive it filled every corner of the headquarters. She left the entire building echoing with an endless chorus of goats bleating meh, and afterwards, at the public apology, she solemnly declared, "If you're going to multiply something, goats are perfect because they're cute," drawing exasperated groans from all the agents. It's also surprising that someone like that is best friends with Ryan. Whenever Jesus pointed this out, Ryan would respond sternly with, "We're not best friends," but from what Jesus could see, they were clearly best friends. She talks and talks all about her concerns. I'm tired of listening. Yes, she's completely my way or the highway. Agreeing with Max, Jesus took out her ID card and tapped it against the lab entrance. As soon as the laboratory was opened, a steady rhythmic mechanical noise, like something you'd typically hear in a factory, filled their ears. At first, it almost sounded like signals emanating from some unknown realm. At the center of that noise stood a woman whose fiery red hair seemed reminiscent of a blazing flame. Dr. Ricky was completely in her element, oblivious to anyone entering the lab. As she squeezed drops of purple liquid into a beaker with a pipette, mushroom-shaped smoke billowed upwards like a miniature nuclear explosion. A brown lump, barely identifiable as a living creature, approached Team 1, bowing its head in its greeting. Oh, hi there! The lump with arms and legs was a golem made of clay, created by Dr. Ricky's ability. Creating a distinct entity through a supernatural power and sustaining it for an extended duration required extraordinary advanced abilities. Toth, I'm sorry. How am I supposed to know? Toth, I'm sorry. Why is there an H there? Despite her brilliance, Ricky seemed to lack any artistic talent. Her golem looked like something a 5-year-old might crudely fashion out of dough. That's the cute part.
Who's there?
Dally, it's you!
Ricky flipped up the wedding mask. Wedding mask? Are we getting married? She'd been wearing, turning around to glance at Jesus and the team members. To be exact, she looked only at Dally. It seemed as if Ricky's eyes were equipped with an automatic function that erases everyone she deemed irrelevant from her view. Dally, my baby girl. Dally's face remained blank as always, yet everyone in the lab except Ricky could sense that dangerous aura radiating from her expression. Jesus silently stood near to Dally, ready to intervene at any moment.
Sign here.
Without providing any context or explanation, Ricky abruptly thrust towards a blood collection consent form. Eclipse secured and stored the genetic information related to the supernatural abilities of its agent. However, such blood samples were never provided to external institutions and were treated as top-level classified secrets. This was because the blood of supernatural agents was regarded as part of the divine essence. Thus, whenever the development team wished to conduct research using an agent's blood, they required both the individual's consent and approval from the prophet.
Come on, Dally, just sign here.
I don't know why she sounds like a meth addict, but probably. She's in a lab. Ricky habitually made a fuss about acquiring Dally's blood, a scene familiar to everyone. Usually, when deeply absorbed in her work, Ricky sometimes wouldn't even notice Dally's presence, but today she recognized her arrival early and intensified her usual commotion.
The general public may dismiss psychic ability users as insignificant, but I'm different. I understand the potential of psychic users better than anyone. Those...
Suddenly, Ricky pointed directly at the Eclipse badge pinned to Jesus' chest.
Those badges you wear without thinking, embedded within its lies the very essence of artifact engineering. That tiny gemstone contains telepathic ability. In other words, psychic power. How else could you fools communicate effortlessly with people from other nations without this technology? And blah blah blah.
As Ricky's rapid-fire speech poured out like an unstoppable torrent, filling the entire lab, Max let out a weary sigh, as if physically weighed down by the dense barrage of words. Seeing no end in sight of Ricky's rambling speech, her assistant quietly approached Jesus and the team, handing each glass of orange juice.
I want orange juice!
Ah, thanks. Thank you. Jesus and Max and Adora simultaneously accept the glasses and began to drink. It's good. Yeah, right? It is. In stark contrast to the peaceful trio enjoying their drinks, the fierce confrontation between Dally and Ricky continued relentlessly. Though rather than a confrontation, it was more like Ricky throwing a persistent tantrum. That's my baby. I love her. Observing Dally's icy glare and Ricky's enthusiastic persistence, completely unfazed by the former's cold demeanor, Jesus recalled a video Max had once sent her. A tiny chihuahua barking furiously at a thoroughly indifferent jaguar.
Therefore, Dally, psychic ability users like you must contribute to society by providing blood to geniuses like me. Now hurry up inside here. What amazing discoveries will I uncover by studying you, huh? Just continue already!
It seems like your honest feelings are mixed in there. Jesus shrugged slightly, leisurely watching the scene unfold. Just as Ricky, still unable to calm her excitement, was about to show the consent form once more into Dally's face.
Gah.
Ricky's body suddenly convulsed, shuddering violently.
I can see a flower garden. A flower garden.
Uh-oh, she's high. She's high. I told you she's definitely high.
A beautiful river far away.
Dally, that's enough. The moment Jesus grabbed Dally's arm, Ricky gasped loudly, inhaling as desperately as someone finally escaping from a drowning in a river. The assistant had quietly positioned itself behind the staggering Ricky, then raising its short arms high as though it's cheering her on. It smoothly caught Ricky's weight, reshaping itself into a chair perfectly contoured to her form.
That was close.
Aha! Breaking out in a cold sweat, Jesus awkwardly smiled, raising only one corner of her mouth. Yes, doctor, that was a close call. Prolonged exposure to Dale's hallucinations could cause the victim to lose their grip on reality, leaving lasting mental side effects even after their power was withdrawn. Hey, that dream that I had in the beginning, was that due to Dale? If Jesus hadn't swiftly nullified Dale's power, Ricky might have suffered severe consequences.
You always show me that same river, don't you?
That's probably the river you see right before crossing over into the afterlife, rather than the one of Dale's hallucinations.
What kind of mechanism causes you to show such hallucinations to others, huh? You intentionally guide them to see it, don't you? Right? Let's show the doctor the beautiful river. Is that what you're thinking?
Ricky, apparently forgetting the brush with death in an instant, cheeks... Sorry, I had to deal with something. Ricky, apparently forgetting the brush with death in an instant, cheeks still flushed with excitement, continued chatting animatedly at Dale. Dale, securely restrained by Jesus' firm grip, didn't spare Ricky another glance. Worried that Dale might use her power again, Jesus tightened her hold and quickly changed the subject. Doctor, we were informed that the new equipment has been developed, so we've come to collect ours.
Ah, right, equipment, yes.
The chair holding Ricky's body shuffled its two legs, nimbly following her line of sight. Upon the desk where Ricky halted, unfamiliar devices glistened brightly, arranged neatly in a row.
The equipment is specifically designed for losers who can't even properly control their olfactory powers.
Excuse me, are you talking about us?
What? Was it you? I don't know. It's for some kiddo with that lame power.
You... Max glared at Ricky with a dagger-sharp eyes, but Ricky casually ignored Max's anger entirely.
Behold, super powerful triple pro-aware version 2.202.
Still the worst naming sense ever. Ricky clearly possesses the rare elemental ability and displayed extraordinary genius in equipment development. Even in Mat, a country renowned for producing countless brilliant scientists, she was said to be the talent who emerged only once every 100 years. However, when it came down to naming, there truly wasn't anyone worse than her.
There, check this out.
Ricky showed Jesus and Dale the object in her hands as she spoke. So, she's completely ignoring Max, I see. The object appeared to be an ordinary metal stick, except the round, lavender-colored gemstone was embedded neatly in the center of the handle. Judging by the gem's purple hue, it seemed to contain psychic abilities.
See this three-stage switch marked 1, 2, 3?
Just as Ricky described, there was a switch beside the handle that could be adjusted up and down.
It lets you fine-tune your mighty powers so as easily as adjusting a fan, gentle breeze, moderate, and hurricane. With this, even the brattiest kiddo will settle down. Keep her powers stable, after all.
Hello? Max leaned forward aggressively towards Ricky, looking as if she might pounce at any moment. Calm down, Max. I'm sure Dr. Ricky didn't mean it in a bad way. Jesus quickly wrapped her arms around Max from behind, holding her back. The brattiest kid. Adora covered her mouth with her hands after seeing Max dangling helplessly from Jesus' arms, but she couldn't hold back the bursts of laughter that slipped out uncontrollably. Moreover, did somebody just come? Did you hear that? Moreover, the droplets she'd conjured danced slightly around Max, swaying teasingly as if to mock her. You bastard! I'll kill you first! As if Max's furious eye turned sharply towards Adora, Ricky continued her explanation, utterly indifferent to the scene unfolding around her.
This one's for the girl with the swishy hair and the equally swishy power. Introducing the magical bag of holding version 1.01.
Max, momentarily forgetting her earlier anger at the ridiculous name, instantly burst into laughter. Despite Max's obvious mockery, Adora showed no particular reaction, remaining detached as if it wasn't about her at all. Yes, she does. She made water earplugs in the beginning.
If there's no river or sea nearby, Swishy Swish here can't use lots of water. Thus, precisely that what Swishy Swish needs is very magical bag of holding version 1.0. Small bucket-shaped pendant lay atop Ricky's palm. When she pressed the tiny button protruding from its gleaming silver body, a gem emerged from within, displaying a blue hue even deeper and clearer than the lake. This gem can store and utilize massive amounts of water without limits. Doctor, can gems store physical matter, if not just supernatural powers? Excellent question. This gem is my latest invention, freshly unveiled today. Ricky responded enthusiastically to Heisu, who had raised her hand politely, like an exemplary student, proudly pointing at herself with her thumb. There have only been 2 types of gems traditionally, those that can contain supernatural powers and those that can amplify them. But who am I? By integrating sophisticated artifact engineering techniques, I have successfully created a gem capable of storing physical matter as well. Heisu applauded mechanically towards Ricky. Ricky apparently satisfied by the sound of applause, nodded her head repeatedly. Now, Swishy Swish is done. For Heisu, here it is.
Hey, why do you only call Heisu and Dale by their proper names? Excuse me? Ricky, who had been treating Max as if she were invisible up until now, suddenly turned and stared into her direction. Her eyes widened dramatically, and she opened her mouth in exaggerated shock as though she'd heard something completely absurd, like someone declaring supernatural power is completely useless. If you want your names to be called properly, then you have an ability worth remembering. Who are you anyway? She really just said, wow. As Ricky's heartless words abruptly cut through Max's patience, Heisu almost thought she could hear rope snapping inside Max's head. Ah! Quickly extending her hand to soothe Max, who had lost all reason and was instinctively reaching for the pistol in her holster, Heisu gently stroked her head. Max's head felt as hot as freshly steamed buns. Buns, you say? Now, this is a whip created from leaves and stems of the tree of the sun. Your supernatural power can be conducted through it. Using this, your attack range might be significantly increased. Unlike the equipment for other agents, this was a weapon specifically crafted for Heisu alone. Heisu's divine authority was nullification of supernatural powers. Any supernatural powers that touched her skin would instantly vanish, like droplets evaporating upon contact with flame, leaving no trace behind. That's why she would grip Dale, and it would make the hallucination stop. I was wondering about that. That's cool. The mercilessly potent ability could even penetrate clothing of considerable thickness, so formidable that Academy cadets had once devised that so-called anti-Heisu strategy. Never allow Heisu to touch you. This was both the first and only rule that could theoretically defeat her as an ability wielder. Although named the strategy, it had never succeeded ever once against Heisu. However, every wielder aware of this tactic would desperately maintain distance, often prolonging unnecessary conflicts. The whip Ricky had just handed over would be a welcome tool to shorten Heisu's path to victory. She could go, but for those facing her, it would undoubtedly become a nightmare, because she could go, wrap them with the whip, and then they're fucking immobilized. The name was Snap Snap Lazy Whip version 1.00. Snap Snap. Repeating Ricky's naming aloud, Heisu wore a wry smile. Well, the name says it all. I'll use it well.
Good, good. And this too. 100% block gloves version 2.05. I heard yours ripped, right?
Ah, yes. Thank you, Doctor.
This was the last pair in stock, so take good care of them.
Yes, ma'am. Heisu saluted crisply. I love when women's salute crisply towards me. Heisu's power always lingered subtly around her body, even when she wasn't actively conscious of it. Unlike her childhood, after repeated, rigorous training, she could now control her power, concentrate it into one point, or even suppress it completely. Yet she had become so accustomed to channeling the power through her hands that it was sometimes inconvenient. I'll use these carefully, I promise, I won't tear them. These gloves, specifically crafted from a blend of sap from the tree of the sun and Heisu's blood, acted as a meticulous tailored veil that prevented her nullification's power from unintentionally leaking out, and were completely useless to other agents. A little more than Jesus. Yeah, yikes. Reading is hard sometimes. an unattainable luxury. Thus, this equipment too was specifically designed solely for Heisu.
Alrighty, if you're done here, take it and leave.
Where the fiery passion Ricky had displayed moments ago had vanished to was unclear. She turned her head away, waving her hands dismissively like someone swatting away flies. Everyone else from Team 1, excluding Dale, picked up their respective pieces of equipment, each burdened by one of Ricky's notoriously terrible names. Team 1 arrived together at the western ports and quickly surveyed the overall layout of the buildings, mapping out all available routes. Max and Adora will stake out the positions near the docks as planned. Report immediately if you spot anyone suspicious. Ryan first issued orders to Max and Adora. She intended to place Max, whose ability could track enemy movement from afar, and Adora, who provided effective mid to long-range cover, near the docks to monitor the situation closely. Max and Adora nodded briefly before swiftly vanishing into their position. I wonder why Adora is gray. We proceed as well. Yes, ma'am. Ah, Dale. Sorry, I'm not a simp, but Dale. Ryan, Heisu, and Dale each pulled out rocket-shaped pendants that glistened in their palms like tiny silver scales. The reason Dale has nightmares is because of her ability. And when she sleeps with Heisu, Heisu's power negates her, which... Oh, that's so... That's why they hold each other. That's huge. Perfect. They're literally they're a match made in heaven. That's why they should date each other. Because they're perfect for each other. Heisu makes it so she can actually sleep. Ah, that's so sweet. Ah! As Heisu tightly gripped her pendant, a bright white glow engulfed her entire body. Blinded momentarily by the strong burst of light, she closed her eyes, then... A brief sensation akin to being on a turbulent flight quickly passed. When Heisu reopened her eyes, she was greeted by the bleak scene of a warehouse filled with a musty smell of mold. Ryan had specifically chosen this warehouse as their stakeout location, ideal for observing the transaction site discreetly while also being suitable for an extended stay. Wow, the dust here is no joke. Heisu waved her hands dramatically as if trying to disperse the thick dust clouds rising from every step she took. Wonder how many days we'll be stuck staking this place out. Please just show up quickly. Let me go home already. She smiled bitterly as she glanced around the warehouse, which seemed to contain nothing but cobwebs and dust. As if she'd read Heisu's exact thoughts, Ryan shot her a sharp, penetrating glare. Yikes! To avoid Ryan's eyes, Heisu quickly turned her head, staring intently out the window. Ignoring Heisu, who is now whistling casually to feign innocence, Ryan began unpacking her gear. Contrary to Heisu's wishes, the first few days of the stakeout passed without even the slightest hint of suspicious activity. Shucks, before the week had passed, Max finally got in touch. Team 3's prediction had proven accurate. Suspicious individuals had docked hastily and were now headed towards the warehouse identified as the transaction point. Heisu used Ricky's invention, Hawkeye, version 3.05, to scout the warehouse's interior. Despite its embarrassingly tacky name, this pinnacle of modern technology telescope with embedded X-ray vision performed impeccably. Through it, Heisu spotted two women standing in the center of the warehouse, one in a black robe and one in a flight jacket. A black robe and a white mask. The robed figure handed a black bag to the woman in the flight jacket. About 50 meters away from the two stood a robed figure to the left, while on the right a hooded individual kept vigilant watch near of the windows. Probably said that all wrong. They were brazenly carrying firearms. Outside the building, two women stood guard, armed with smuggled guns. Max, what's the situation around us? No signs of ambush in the vicinity. 4 inside, 2 outside, that's all of them. From her vantage point, about 600 meters away atop another warehouse, Max was monitoring the scene through a bolt-action rifle scope. Additionally, with her supernatural sense of smell, Max was ideal for detecting hidden enemies in such stakeout situations. She was capable of detecting human scent clearly from up to 1 kilometer away, using olfactory cues to roughly gauge the emotional state and characteristics of individuals. Only 6 of them, bold move. Operating in small numbers help them avoid drawing attention. Right after the big fish, not the small fry. Therefore, securing the suspect safely is our top priority. We have no information on what supernatural abilities they might possess, so everyone proceed with caution. If we determine a suspect isn't a wielder, refrain from excessive force. The team members listened quietly until Ryan finished speaking. I'll take care of the two outside. Max and Adora, hold your current positions and provide cover for Heisu and Dale. Roger that. Understood. Heisu and Dale, you two apprehend the pair currently making the transaction. Heisu and Dale nodded firmly as their eyes met Ryan's. 3 seconds. On my signal, we move in. Yes, ma'am. We're gonna pow, pow, bam, bam, somebody pissed in the water. Ryan faced the warehouse entrance, lowering herself slightly. With her back to Heisu and Dale, she raised her hand, extending 3 fingers. Her ring finger folded down. Soon after, her middle finger folded down. Finally, only Ryan's index finger remained raised, and with a swift motion, she poked the air in front of her. Confirming the signals, Team 1 stepped forward in a perfect unison? Yeah. As if they had been one entity rooted to the ground. Taking the lead, Ryan rode the wind, surging towards the guard's position in an instant. Whoa! Ooh! By the time the lookouts noticed Ryan, the whirlwind erupting beneath their feet had already slammed them into the ground, leaving no opportunity for resistance. Assuming their former positions, Ryan shifted immediately into a stance of vigilant alertness. What the hell? Inside the warehouse, everyone sensed the anomaly and began scrambling in confusion, but Adora's ability was even faster than the reaction. Tendrils of water swiftly wrapped around the limbs of those standing by the walls, knocking them off balance. Thud, as they crashed to the floor. Through the cobweb-cracked windows set between iron panels, thick with crimson dust. Adora's silhouette came in view, broken into shards, yet standing firm atop the roof of the neighboring warehouse. Oh, you bastards! She's French, you know. One of the women, restrained by Adora's water, desperately raised her gun, still gripping in her bound hands. But her movement was swiftly halted by a precise bullet from Max. Blood surged from her wound, staining Adora's transparent handcuffs a vivid red. What the shit? Who the heck is... The 2 individuals conducting the transaction, with their associates collapsing without warning, had no time to even register the presence of approaching intruders. Without missing the moment of chaos, Heisu and Dale sprinted at full speed towards the pair, arms extended. She enjoyed that a little bit too much. Dale seized the woman in the flight jacket by the neck, slamming her forcefully to the ground. The woman let out an agonizing groan. Under Dale's grip, clearly affected by her power. A short distance away, Heisu has already moved behind the robed woman, swiftly twisting her arm to subdue her with ease. Then Heisu kicked out one of her knees. Kicked out her knee, destroying her balance completely. Just as Heisu's free hand reached towards her waist to retrieve her handcuffs. Oh, mighty Apep! The mask slid off, revealing the face of a woman twisted with madness beneath it. She snapped her head around, locking eyes with Heisu through glinting, feverish pupils. Apep? Isn't that a boss in Genshin Impact? Hold on, I'm sipping your water. The sipping of the water so I don't fucking die. You feel me? Yeah, isn't that... Imagine Heisu just says, isn't that a boss game from the hit game Genshin Impact? The words muttered by the woman flashed vividly through Heisu's mind, leaving a clear, lingering trace. Unconsciously, as though engraving it in her memory, Heisu repeated the words silently. Grant eternal death to those fools. Whether triggered by a device hidden in her sleeve, suddenly a dark object appeared in the woman's hand. The sight of the woman's finger pressing down in the crude switch passed through Heisu's vision like a scene played out in slow motion. Then a chilling click, the eerie sound, reached Heisu's ear. Seeing the terrifying malicious expression hidden beneath the robe, Heisu instinctively understood what it meant. A suicide bomb! A single second. Yet to Heisu it felt as though each of the 24 frames in a single second of a film stretched infinitely, unfolding individually and vividly before her eyes. Within the surreal distortion of slowed down time, Heisu desperately turned towards Dale. Even if Dale used her power, the already pressed switch couldn't be undone. But Heisu still has a chance to neutralize the explosion herself. She instantly pulled the woman into a crushing hold. I never imagined they'd resort to explosive. I should have been more cautious. But it's too late to regret now. If this was an explosion caused by supernatural powers, Jesus praying fervently that Dale, who was now running towards her, would stay safe, kicked her forcefully off the ground in the opposite direction. When the combined weight of the two humans finally succumbed to gravity and crashed heavily onto the ground, Jesus' heart sank sharply with them. Surrendering fully to the power blooming within her body, Jesus squeezed her eyes shut, bracing herself against the remote yet terrifying possibility of death. Huh? Amidst the suffocating silence, Jesus cautiously raised her head, confusion written over her face, and quickly sat up straight. Apep is a giant evil snake in Egyptian mythology, the ultimate enemy of Ra and the embodiment. Yeah, it's also a boss in Genshin Impact. It didn't explode? Thank goodness. In the silence that fell over them, as if the time itself had stopped, Jesus breathed a sigh of relief, unaware of the darkness approaching her. Suddenly, a choking sensation gripped her throat, and her body was thrown abruptly backwards. Dale had grabbed Jesus by the scruff of her neck and flung her backwards. What are you doing? Jesus shouted towards Dale, turned back. But, Dale, she remained motionless. Abruptly, the robed woman began choking out harsh, violent coughs. Blood sprayed from between their lips like fountains, pooling on the floor. It was an impossible amount of blood, far too much to have come solely from human bodies, spreading outwards to form a vivid crimson lake beneath their feet. And they weren't the only ones. The woman behind Jesus, the one in the jacket and the one in the hoodie, began twisting and convulsing on the floor, groaning in agony. Dale used her power. Jesus shuddered involuntarily, sensing again the abyss of death she'd once felt before. Wait! Immediately coming to her senses, Jesus urgently reached out towards Dale, but that brief instant of hesitation led to a merciless conclusion. God, into your embrace. At last, I've awaited this day. No God will accept you. By the time that chillingly cold voice reached Jesus' ears, a knife was already firmly gripped in Dale's left hand. Before the echoes of her sharp, icy voice could fully fade, Dale's arm sliced swiftly through the air. Alongside the sound of wind being split apart, a blood-curdling sound escaped from the woman's throat. Like a water balloon tearing open, its contents gushing out all at once. The woman's hands flailed desperately, attempting in vain to stem the crimson fountain bursting from her throat, but moments later her body stilled completely, collapsing forward with a heavy thud. The blood-soaked knife, clutched in Dale's left hand, shot through the air and buried itself cleanly in the neck of another woman writhing like a worm on the floor. A moan, not quite a scream, accompanied by the dull, heavy sound of slicing flesh echoed through the warehouse. Jesus stood frozen, unable to process what just unfolded before her eyes. Her face pale, her mind rejecting reality, she could do nothing but stand there helplessly. That's enough. Ryan's slow, firm voice forcibly dragged Jesus back into reality. A massive wall of wind surged fiercely, slamming Dale to the ground. Only after that did Dale's eyes crisscrossed like spiderwebs finally meet Ryan's gaze. Confirmed KIA. Adora, who had quietly entered the warehouse, confirmed the status of the fallen woman and reported. Ryan likewise checked the conditions of those on the opposite side and shook her head. I got the Wrath of Set. I couldn't read fast enough. I'm gonna move on. Hold on. I need to know. I got an achievement called the Wrath of Set. Dale unleashed her power, blinded by rage. Damn, I got a lot of achievements. I got 9 out of 59. I distinctly ordered that securing the suspects was the top priority. Ryan spoke carefully, her chin resting atop her clasped hands. But 2 died of acute shock and the other 2 bled out. The only suspects we successfully secured alive were the 2 I knocked unconscious at the very beginning. A dim, solitary light illuminated the interrogation room, casting deep shadows across Ryan's features as she slowly raised her head. Dale seemed hardly attentive. not even glancing in Ryan's direction. I specifically told you not to use your power if you couldn't properly control it. Ryan drew a long, deliberate breath, as if she'd fully anticipated Dale's apathetic response. Dale, you're suspended for 6 months, and for the first 2 months you are required to wear an ability suppression device. Leaving only those words behind, Ryan exited the interrogation room. Captain. Amongst the Team 1 who had been waiting outside the interrogation room, Max was the first to speak. Although the suspects were armed, none of them were wielders, hence Dale's response was undoubtedly excessive and unjustifiable. Dale is suspended for 6 months. Unable to think of any argument against it, Jesus accepted Ryan's decision in silence. From the moment a suspect attempts to harm an Eclipse agent, they're classified as violent criminals, meaning some use of force is acceptable. However, the excessive use of supernatural powers against unpowered individuals was increasingly becoming a controversial military ethics issue within Eclipse. Moreover, casualties had occurred at a scene where securing the suspects alive was fully possible, making punishment for Dale inevitable. We're equally responsible. Even if Dale directly caused the casualties, one of us cannot avoid accountability. As of this moment, Operations Team 1 is withdrawn from this investigation. The members of Team 1 silently nodded in agreement without objecting. Jesus, you stand here for a moment. The rest of you are dismissed. Max's gaze lingered briefly on Jesus, but soon she disappeared alongside Adora. Ryan led Jesus down the hallway. Do you even understand what you did wrong? After creating a sufficient distance from the interrogation room, Ryan halted her steps and turned toward Jesus, her voice sharp and biting. Yes, ma'am. I trusted you and Dale. Trusted your abilities. I entrusted you with this mission believing you'd handle it calmly and rationally. Jesus couldn't say anything. All she could do was quietly stand with her hands clasped behind her back, head bowed like a guilty criminal. Don't ever overestimate your abilities and recklessly throw yourself in danger again. Your life has value. Treasure it. Understood? Ryan lightly placed a hand on Jesus' shoulder, indifferent but yet firm. Jesus lifted her head, meeting Ryan's eyes filled with deep concern. I'm truly sorry. It won't happen again. I said that sounded very insincere coming from me. Ryan stared at Jesus for long moments as she bowed deeply in apology, then released a heavy sigh. Good, as long as you know. You may go now. Jesus cautiously glanced at Ryan's darkened expression before asking hesitantly, May I take Dale with me? Yes. Girlfriends. Sorry. Casting a brief glance towards the interrogation room, Ryan responded in a weary voice. As Jesus opened the door and stepped inside, Dale pointedly averted her gaze. I know you saw me. Are you seriously ignoring me now? Stop ignoring me and talk to me. Every time you do something stupid like this. The voice that spilled from Dale's lips never completed its sentence. Instead, she fixed Jesus an icy cold stare that spoke volumes. She was silently condemning Jesus for having restrained the woman who had tried to blow herself up. But Jesus had made the best possible choice at that moment. Even now, she stood firmly by that belief. Most explosives were crafted using gems infused with supernatural power. Although explosive using gunpowder had recently advanced in technology, they still couldn't compare in performance or efficiency to gem-based ones, and most weapons handled by Hyena were known to utilize gems. If it was a supernatural explosive, Jesus could neutralize it entirely with her ability. Thus, banking on this high probability was, at that moment, the most rational judgment Jesus could make. Moreover, if by even the slightest chance the explosive had been gunpowder-based, it was crucial to absorb as much of the blast as possible with her own body, minimizing potential damage. Restraining her was the only option to handle both scenarios. Jesus could have conveyed these swirling thoughts exactly as they were to Dale, yet she simply kept her mouth heavily shut. Showing myself like that to Dale. Jesus unconsciously clenched her fists, feeling as though her heart was being crushed. She had lost her mother at a young age. When her mother, who had been like the very light of her life, passed away, Jesus experienced firsthand the fear of being left alone in the darkness. The beautiful blooming garden had transformed into a muddy swamp, and she'd forgotten how to walk, reduced to a helpless infant. Oh, hello, welcome. This is Eclipse Special Forces. And there's no men, and it's YURI, lesbians, mystery, murder mystery. It's actually super cool. I'm actually loving it a lot. Also, women. I love it. It's amazing. I love the women, and I love it so much. But hi, welcome. I love Yuri. Well, lucky for you, I also love Yuri. I am Yuri. That's funny. Why did I say that? Yikes. Yes, I'm gonna be playing a lot of Yuri games this month. I'm hoping to, at least. And this is one of them. I love it so much. Our character that we play as and this character, I'm telling you, they have to be dating. I can tell by the stream title. The one who silently stayed by her side, guarding her through that time, was none other than Dale. Heisu never, ever wanted Dale to experience the same gut-wrenching pain. If I were to die, if Dale were left all alone, she would... Even imagining it made her hands tremble. Oh, and they also have superpowers. Dale can make people, like, hallucinate. And my character, Heisu, can make it so that you don't have powers. Yeah. And they're like part of a special task force. Or whatever. Even imagining it made her hands tremble, as though she'd been thrust back into that terrifying childhood. But it was... Should I... Oh god, but it was the right call. Heisu did everything she could at that moment, as a team member and as someone with the ability to nullify... Oh, I should have apologized! Damn it! I can't take my thing back. I can't take my option back. Because, like, yes, you did the right thing, but I think she should have still apologized to Dale, because Dale cares a lot about her. God damn it! Heisu did everything she could at that moment. As a team member, and as someone with the ability to nullify supernatural powers, sharp nail marks were now appearing on her palm. Just think about it. With an explosive possibly about to go off right in front of me, what else could I have done? As if she'd expected exactly that response, Dale let out a laugh that sounded more like a weary sigh and turned her head away. From Dale's demeanor, Heisu could clearly see, not even a trace of remorse lingered over the life she'd taken. Heisu tightly shut her eyes. Beneath her lowered eyelids, the blood-drenched warehouse vividly resurfaced. Bodies lay strewn across the floor, discarded like broken dolls. And when she had glanced around at her teammates, their eyes had been fixed not on the corpses, but squarely upon Dale. Within those eyes flickered unmistakable currents of fear and suspicion. The explosive was safely neutralized, but after that you killed them anyway. Why did you kill them? At last, Heisu voiced the dark emotions that had sunk deep inside her. Dale briefly shot a glare at Heisu in reaction to the quietly spoken question, but avoided her gaze again. Dale's hallucination ability was stronger than that of anyone Heisu had ever encountered. Ryan believed that Dale's inability to control her power had led to today's rampage, but the truth was exactly the opposite. The tragedy Dale had created today arose entirely from her own will, her divine authority simply responding to her call. Unlike when she was young, ever since joining the academy and becoming an Eclipse agent, Dale had used only a fraction of her true ability. Thus, her genuine power remained hidden behind a veil, unseen by everyone. Everyone except Heisu. Do you even realize what this means? Dale had always been somewhat indifferent, almost numb to the harm she'd caused others. It didn't matter which category those people belonged to, even if they were considered comrades. Though it rarely happened these days, in the past Dale had occasionally harmed others with her ability. Heisu considered it her duty to stay by Dale's side, acting as the brake to prevent her from slipping down a dangerous path. If I don't hold Dale back... She was consumed by the fear that Dale would slip beyond the confines of ordinary people. The fact that you only got a suspension was thanks to Ryan's efforts. You know that, right? Heisu continued, her gaze fixed firmly on the side of Dale's face, which still refused to turn towards her. Our powers exist to help each other, not to harm them. I don't want you to become someone others fear. Why don't you just say it, Heisu? Say it to her face. Don't say it in your head. Say it to your face. Say it to her face. She needs to know what you are thinking. You'd love to see more of this? I 100% am gonna stream more of this, or make videos either way, because I love this story. And I also want to get back to another one of my Yuri games. Heisu trailed off, unable to finish her thought aloud. Her teammates hadn't openly expressed it, but Heisu had clearly seen the fear in their eyes as they glanced between Dale and the corpses. The thought of Dale becoming an object of rejection, That terrified Heisu more than anything else. You're not a murderer. Dale, who had been silent for a while, looked into Heisu's worried eyes and slowly bowed her head. If you die... The voice trickling out from between Dale's lips felt cautious and fragile, as if she were carefully recalling an old memory. Then suddenly, Dale's fingernails dug into her right arm like hooks, mercilessly tearing into her flesh. Several bright crimson lines slashed clearly across her arm, blood quickly seeping forth and staining it deep red. Stop it! What the hell are you doing? Heisu's hand shot out, swiftly grabbing Dale's arm and pulling it away. Dale looked completely dazed, as if she hadn't even realized what she was doing until Heisu intervened to stop her self-harm. Dale. Heisu knelt on the floor and looked up at Dale, calling out her name softly. She carefully took Dale's bloodied hand, holding it gently as though she were touching a shard of fragile glass. I'm sorry. Let's get you treated. Dale slowly stood up, guided by Heisu's voice, but her eyes remained vacant and hollow. The treatment concluded with Heisu carefully wrapping a bandage around Dale's arm. Dale slowly rotated her bandaged wrist a couple of times, then abruptly spoke. So, are you in? Her words came without context or warning. What do you mean by in? Dale let out a long sigh and raised her eyebrow as to say, don't play dumb. What? Come on, say it clearly. Though Heisu had already roughly guessed what Dale was about to suggest, she deliberately spoke in a clueless tone, pretending not to understand. I'd rather die than be on the losing end. Heisu's hunch had been right. Seeing the expression on Dale's face, cold as an ice sculpture displayed on the snowy plains, Heisu fully grasped her meaning. Let's solve this case on our own, she means. Dale, you've been suspended for 6 months, plus 2 months of mandatory use of an ability suppressor device, remember? On top of that, Team 1 is officially off the case now. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Shaking her head firmly from side to side, Heisu patted Dale's shoulder softly, like a parent patiently admonishing a stubborn child. I dug up some intel on them. Dale frowned slightly, then brushed off Heisu's hand from her shoulder with a sharp motion. Yeah, okay, then pass it on to Team 3. Heisu said casually, turning her head towards the wall as if she wasn't interested. It's classified intel, related to Team 3, you know. But Dale stared at Heisu with the intensity of a predator relentlessly chasing its prey. I would let her predator me. I would be her prey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Dale, I'm free. If you were real. When Heisu cautiously glanced at Dale's expression, she saw no hint of backing down, only stubborn resolve. Heisu instinctively pursed her lips, suppressing the sigh that nearly escaped her mouth. Then deliberately, she whistled loudly. By now she should say something. When a sudden chill settled over them, Heisu at last turned her head. Huh? Only to find herself face to face with the wolf who had been patiently laying the trap. On Dale's face lingered the sly smile of a wolf concealing sinister intentions, poised to deceive Little Red Riding Hood. With this information, we could easily grab a hold of Hyena's tail, couldn't we? At that moment, Little Red Riding Hood, no, Heisu, felt her ears twitch with interest, but Heisu maintained her silent composure, resisting the wolf's tempting offer through quiet self-restraint. If we hand this intel over to those incompetent fools in Team 3, we'll surely lose Hyena again. What's the point of having such valuable information when they're incapable of catching their prey? Dale deliberately raised her voice, starting an exaggerated, awkward performance. If this is how it's going to be, I'd rather delete it. Dale's index finger rose high towards the ceiling and began descending directly towards the keyboard's delete key. Shall I hear it at least? Dale's finger landed not on the keyboard, but on Heisu's large palm resting above it. Oh, resting above the keyboard. I was picturing her hand like above in the sky, and I'm like, what is it doing over there? Damn it. In that fleeting moment, the innocent Red Riding Hood had unwittingly fallen prey to the wolf's tricks. Having accomplished her goal, Dale tossed aside the wolf's mask and went straight to the point. These are psychological evaluation reports of the recent terrorist suspects. Most of them suffered from depression. This one similarly alone isn't particularly remarkable, but look at this. They all visited the same hospital, and this hospital is a private hospital run by Claudia. Huh? On the laptop screen, the face of Claudia's CEO appeared. This person is Adora's mother, right? Dale began displaying articles related to Claudia one by one on the screen. I like the Wolf Association where she has a wolf cut hairstyle. You're so right. A wolf cut hairstyle is so hot too. Claudia enters second golden age with the water purification filter technology. Before becoming renowned for its water purification technology, Claudia had definitely, yes, it was originally famous for shipbuilding. But with the rise of artifact engineering and the aviation industry, the company fell into a slump. Then suddenly, they unveiled their water purification filter technology. That was so random. Yes, it was. And then Claudia boasted that it was the result of long-term cultivation of talented researchers. I tried getting a wolf cut and it did not work. My hair is too poofy. My hair type does not have a wolf cut type, which sucks because wolf cut's hot as fuck. Then 5 years ago, they caused a massive food poisoning incident. Oh, I know that incident, the food poisoning case. It was the incident that shook the entire country, as numerous people worldwide suddenly reported stomach pain, leading to suspicions of a terrorist attack targeting the general public. When Eclipse stepped in to investigate, it was belatedly revealed that the filters applied to Claudia by one of their subcontractors was defective. Claudia's CEO instantly issued an official apology and paid astronomical compensation to the victims. Not only that, but she also assumed responsibility for their ongoing mental care. Recently, by offering free mental health services targeted towards younger generations and operating active online community sites, Claudia has achieved unprecedented popularity. Here's a review from a private social media account about Claudia's mental care services. Huh, if only I had any supernatural powers, I'd finally be able to escape this shithole. This is the review of Claudia Care? Are you saying that they gave them drugs that somehow made them into wielders? With a cryptic smile, Dahlia smiled and shrugged. The one who attacked the prophets. There's records showing that she visited this hospital for 2 years before her death. All the other terrorists, without exceptions, also received treatment at Claudia Care. Dahlia lightly tapped the screen, which was covered in what looked like layers of sticky notes. Remember what they were saying during our first investigation meeting? They had no clue how Hyena recruited hundreds of low-level members. Jesus recalled the details of the earlier meeting, led primarily by Team 3. Claudia Mental Care Hospital and their online care services have a global reach. Economically and mentally vulnerable individuals from all around the world have been gathering here. Now then. What's the conclusion here, Agent Jesus? Dahlia's eyes curved beautifully, coldly, like crescent moons. I wanted to kiss her, so badly, so I did. I gently put my arm against her cheek, stroking her hair behind her ear, and I say, Dahlia, you are so beautiful. Dahlia laughs, a little smile on her face. Oh, so beautiful. Her eyes closed as she smiles. She then opens her eyes, her crisp golden eyes staring right into mine, and she says, well, aren't you going to do it? Without hesitation, I kissed her, my tongue slipping. I'm just sorry. Her mouth formed a plausible smile, but it appeared more like a decorative piece devoid of any genuine emotion. If death itself could smile, it might look exactly like that. The terrorists who used Claudia Care, they all drank the holy water distributed by Hyena. Are you suggesting Claudia is connected to this case? Dahlia's lips curled upward slightly, seemingly satisfied with Jesus' response. I can't control myself. Dahlia's freaking beautiful. She's literally crafted by the god of Ra herself. Ah! I can't help it. I am what I am, Lich. You can't take that away from me. Shall I tell you one more thing? Team 3 concluded that these terrorist incidents were connected to drugs distributed by Hyena, but they never once mentioned Claudia Hospital. Exactly! I need to see that goat mask lady again, as well. Maybe they just didn't know. Dahlia let out a brief, incredulous laugh. Ha! Then opened 2 more square windows atop the screen, already crammed with information. With what awaited Jesus were 2 identical psychological evaluations for the same person. What's this about? Jesus slightly furrowed her eyebrows, clearly confused. On the left is the report Team 3 provided us, and on the right is the original report I found. They're exactly the same. No, let me see. Hold on. Yeah, it looks the same. Do you really think so? Wait. Yeah. After hearing Dali's words, Jesus scrutinized the two evaluations once again, carefully this time. On the evaluation provided by Team 3, a name of a different hospital was written. Oh shit! Solar Mental Health and Claudia Mental Health. I completely missed that. But also it was hidden behind the thing, so I have somewhat of an excuse. Ah, now you get it? Team 3 intentionally provided us with false information. They even went to the trouble of fabricating records indicating she had visited a different hospital. Why would Team 3 go through all this trouble? So what you're trying to say is that Eclipse is covering for a criminal organization? Jesus shook her head slightly, reluctantly to believe that such a fact. Yes, I think there's a traitor inside Eclipse. As Dali rhythmically tapped on her keyboard, a photo appeared on the screen. It showed dozens of people gathered in front of the building. Amid the mundane scene of an opening ceremony, Heisu immediately caught sight of a familiar face. The chief of the intelligence department. Yes, Anhell and the chief of Amit, the intelligence department, who is undoubtedly backing Team 3. And this photo shows the initial benefactors who contributed to establishing Claudia Hospital. Damn it. God. I feel so much rage for getting what's it called? For getting betrayed by Eclipse and this Team 3 that I aggressively grab at Dali's waist, pull her towards me, and I say, Dali, before we go, let's have one steamy night, just you and me, real quick. Just embrace each other fully. Right now. Don't even think about it. Just embrace each other. And then we will absolutely figure this case out. I can't help it! Unable to suppress her growing irritation, Jesus scratched her head aggressively. Judging from the information we've gathered so far, we should make out. I agree, Dali, we should 100% make out. Get over here! Oh. Anyways, Claudia and Hyena are undoubtedly connected by the holy water, and there's a good chance they're accomplices. No, they must be accomplices. I can't focus! We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused, but the eyeballs coming out of my head. Go, ooga! Dali lightly tapped the laptop's touchpad with her index finger as if organizing her thoughts. Well, that explains why Team 3 has been acting like an incompetent idiots, and how Hyena's been able to run wild all this time. Wait, but then how exactly did you find this out? Next model talk was just auga. That'd be so redonkulous. Get your head in the fucking game. Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game. I don't remember the rest of the song. Jesus asks with genuine admiration at Dali's unmatched investigation skills. We were on a stakeout. Time was one of the things we had plenty time. You guys understood what I said, right? Jesus nodded, remembering how Dali had silently tapped away at her keyboard while she'd eagerly played around with Hawkeye. From the Marvel? What about those black robes? Black robes? Ah, those weirdos who kept babbling about some god or whatever? They called it a pep. Jesus frowned as she recalled the face of the woman who'd grinned ear to ear even as she pressed the explosive trigger. There's someone who can help us with that. Dali slowly pushed the laptop screen towards Jesus, displaying CCTV footage from an interrogation room. A hyena operative? The one who survived the recent transaction? According to... Are you even fucking reading, my dude? After confirming via CCTV that the initial interrogation had concluded, Jesus and Dali immediately headed towards the interrogation room. Perhaps due to the late hour, the hallway was completely quiet and devoid of anyone else as they walked. I really should stop Dali, but Jesus' own insatiable curiosity got the best of her, and far from stopping Dali's action, she ended accompanying her, maybe even wrapping her hand around her waist, pulling her close, giving her kisses on her neck. I'm sorry, Ryan. I mean, Captain. As Jesus silently apologized to Ryan, in her head, Dali pressed the hacking device against the card reader beside the interrogation room door. With a cheerful beep, A small indicator beside the door flashed green, signaling that it was ready to welcome them inside. What the, who the hell are you? A woman, annoyed at having just endured an exhausting interrogation, seemed irritated by the sudden appearance of more agents. Who are we? We're your knights in shining armor. Jesus flashed a wink and a bright, cheerful smile at her. Then she pulled out a chair with a loud scrape and took a seat. Don't try bullshit on me, you. Just as the woman rattled her handcuffs and lunged towards Jesus. Tell us everything you know about this deal. Dale cut her off mercilessly, getting straight to the point. Since she remained standing there rather than sitting, Dale's face was shrouded in darkness, beyond the circle of illumination cast by the ceiling lights. What the hell? I've already confessed everything. What else do you want? The woman's earlier bravado vanished, shrinking back as though intimidated by Dale's presence. Did you hear what happened to your friends who were at the deal with you? What about them? Caught off guard by the sudden shift in topic, the woman stammered, though her eyes remained fiercely fixed on Jesus. Did you hear about how your friends died? Jesus grinned, neatly baring her teeth, like a camp counselor about to tell a ghost story around a crackling campfire. I don't know. Judging by... Oh, wait, I should make her French. I do not know. Judging by how she hastily hid her trembling hands under the table, she likely had a rough idea of what happened to her colleagues. Your friends. They died of shock from prolonged exposure to hallucinations. Jesus whispered the words, as if sharing a confidential secret. Hallucinations sound pretty sweet, don't they? But actually, they're not. It's like your brain is flooded with more information than it can handle. Imagine experiencing a whole year's worth of nightmares in just a few seconds. Eventually, your brain overloads, blood starts pouring through your eyes and nose, and then pop! You're dead! Perhaps Jesus' vivid gestures, worthy of a seasoned storyteller, sparked the woman's imagination as her face turned deathly pale. Scared now, huh? Satisfied, Jesus smirked slightly, resting her chin in her hand. Why on earth are you telling me this? The woman shouted loudly, clearly trying to mask the fear creeping up on her. It appeared as though she was signaling for someone to come to her aid. Oh, right. The reason why I'm telling you this? Because the one who sent your who sent your friends straight to hell is right here. Jesus chuckled, pointing with her thumb towards Dale, still enveloped in shadows. So unless you want to end up like them, start talking. As Dale's cold stare faintly emerged from the darkness, settling upon the woman. She jolted violently, as if shocked by a high-voltage cable. But please, I really don't know anything. Perhaps intimidated by Dale, the woman's speech had inadvertently shifted to a respectful language. I just received the note and followed what it said. What exactly did the directive say? It just listed my number and specific locations. Number? The hyena members with tattoos received their orders through notes during each transaction. It does not sound French anymore. During each transaction, roles are assigned according to the numbers were given. Number 1 is the one who receives the goods. Number 2, guards beside them. Number 3 and 4 are lookouts. So your assigned number determines your role? Actually, the note simply said number 4, time and location. But every time number 1 received the item, and I always designated as number 4 was stuck with lookout duty. It was an implicit understanding among us. Among us? Jesus briefly glanced towards Dale, who appeared lost in thought before returning her gaze to the operative. And who were those people in the robes? I do not know. All I ever did was accept the goods from them. I never once talked to them. So how'd you end up joining Hyena in the first place? One day a note showed up at my door from who knows where. And then? At first I thought it was just some prank, so I threw it out, but the notes kept coming. So I looked it up online, and apparently, if you did what the note instructed, you'd get paid. Well, I was super desperate for money anyway, so thanks to gambling debts. Jesus shot the woman a bright smile that practically screamed "and who asked," urging her to get to the point. It was nothing special, just simple errands like drop this off at a specific location and I'd get paid. After about a year of receiving these notes, I got another one asking if I'd officially join the organization. That's when I got the tattoo. And the organization structure? I don't know. All of us only received... The accent's gone haywire. Accent's not accenting right now. I don't know. All All of us only received instructions through notes whenever there's work, and different members show up each time. Besides, we don't even exchange names, let alone talk to more than absolutely necessary. All I know is that each deal is conducted by a 4-person teams, that's all. Useless. Jesus muttered the words without addressing anyone in particular. To the woman it sounded like a veiled threat. That's seriously all I know, I swear. Maybe number 1 might know more, but judging by her reaction, it seemed this truly was everything she knew. Ugh, seriously? Unable to hide her disappointment, Jesus groaned out loud. You mentioned receiving goods from those robed figures, correct? Tell us anything noteworthy you recall about your encounters with them. Dale watched the woman intently. It was a silent pressure, a clear warning that any lies would immediately result in appropriate punishment. The woman remained silent for a while, letting out dumbfounded noises like before swallowing hard. One time, when I went to receive the goods, they gave me a big cooler. Usually, they just hand me a small case or a black bag. But strangely, on that day, even number 1 checked inside. Her eyes stared blankly at the table as if she was reliving that day in her mind. Inside, there was bright red liquid in glass bottles, and at the bottom of the cooler. She abruptly stopped speaking and began glancing anxiously at Jesus and Dale, her face filled with terror. Terror. Why'd you stop? Speak. There was Claudia's logo. Just as expected, Hyena and Claudia are connected, along with those robbed bastards. Dale met Jesus' gaze and nodded in quiet agreement. Finding the cult believers of this APEP will probably be key to taking down Claudia. Dahlia reached out and took hold of her laptop, resting on the table, and placed it on her lap. Drugs, Hyena, Claudia, and the chief of MHHH. The more information they gathered, the more it felt like the tangled threads weren't unraveling but rather knotting tighter and intertwining further. While Dale slipped back into her zone, Jesus, seated next to her, leaned back on the sofa, steadying her breath as she attempted to clear her cluttered mind. Time flowed quietly, filled only with the rhythm of Jesus' breathing and the gentle tapping of Dale's keyboard. It was Dale's voice that finally cut through the prolonged silence in the room. I just checked the autopsy results of the failed suicide bomber. They found an undigested gem in her stomach. What? A walking bomb. Dale uttered those horrific words, yet smiled as if envisioning something delightful. There is only one place twisted enough to pull something like this. Hathor. Hathor? Jesus knew very little concrete information about Hathor. When on missions there, Hathor had consistently been uncooperative, cutting investigation periods short without warning, limiting the range of movements, and generally obstructing operations. Because of that, Eclipse agents, including Jesus herself, always had to complete their task hurriedly and leave the country as though being chased out. That's right. Hathor also used this kind of suicide attacks as tactic during the First War. They didn't care what methods they utilized as long as they won. That's insane. The First War and suicide attacks. Hearing phrases that she hasn't encountered since graduation, Jesus felt vague nostalgia, and once again could only marvel at Dale's extraordinary memory. Me mon indeed. What? Nothing. Meeting Dale's thin gaze fixed steadily upon her, Jesus simply smiled, sweetly in response. And there's something else that's suspicious. Dale shifted her knees slightly, angling the laptop screen towards Jesus. To examine the data more precisely, Jesus leaned forward from the sofa, practically pressing herself against Dale, and then she puts her face against Dale's chest, looks up at her, and says, "Your heart is pounding quite fast." Dale smiles down at her. "Hey, you should focus." I smile. Jesus smiles at her. It's hard to focus when I have such a beautiful lady in front of me. Dale smacks Jesus' head. I keep saying I promise I'm not self-inserting. Dale smacks Jesus' head. You're goofy. Jesus gives a kiss to Dale's chin. We should make out on the sofa right now. I'm gonna stop. Look at my back support. Oh well, I'm too lazy. Look at this graph. The number of missing persons in Hathor has increased exponentially over the past year. Missing persons? Yeah, it's risen to an absurd level, though Hathor's nobles probably wouldn't give it a second thought. Dale let out a brief laugh, one corner of her mouth curling upward. Isn't it strange that Hathor is the only country without any reported random assault incidents? Maybe it's just Hathor's typical secrecy, controlling the flow of information, but it's certainly worth investigating. You're truly the hands of God. The hands of God. Don't SMH me, Lich. How'd you find all this so quickly? Since Team 3 manages all the crucial intel regarding Hyena, the information Dali was now showing Heisu must have been gathered purely through her personal capabilities. Thinking once again that Dali would have shone even brighter had she joined the intelligence department, Heisu felt a bittersweet smile tugging at her lips. They're in debt to me, after all. A chilling smile surfaced on Dali's face, radiating a quiet menace. Shouldn't I make them pay for infuriating me? To Heisu, Dali's expression looked either like a delightful child who'd found a new toy, or a snake flicking its tongue at the sight of prey. Ah, poor thing, of all people, they just had to go and piss you off. Heisu deliberately spoke with exaggerated comedic flair, inwardly feeling a slight sympathy towards the terrorist. When Dali decided to do something, she never gives up until it's finished. Especially when she's been wronged. She won't be satisfied unless she pays it back double, or 100-fold. I wonder how she'll repay them this time. In Heisu's mind, images appeared one by one, pitiful faces sobbing and noses running, and even begging pathetically while wetting themselves. Okay then, the next step should be to inform our members, and report it to Ryan, right? Heisu turned to Dali, voicing the obvious conclusion as their next move. But, no. Dali's face hardened as she delivered an answer to Heisu Heisu hasn't anticipated. I think we need to handle this ourselves. When those emotionless, mechanical words reached her ears, a hollow laugh naturally slipped from Heisu's lips. Dali, this has already gone way beyond what just the two of us can handle. And just who are we supposed to trust with this information? There wasn't even the slightest trace of falsehood in Dali's intensely unwavering gaze. Though she knew very well that Dali trusted no one other than Heisu, hearing that cold, definitive conclusion escape her lips left Heisu speechless. Passing this information along to someone else, when we don't even know who might be involved in this? Her voice was openly laced with scorn. Dali, we're talking about Ryan here. Ryan was the person who looked after Heisu and Dali ever since Heisu's mother passed away. Someone who had become particularly family to them. And on top of that, she was their dependable teammate and captain, whom they've served alongside for the past 5 years. Fine. Let's assume we trust the captain. Once this information reaches the captain, it'll likely go straight to the prophet's ears. That's probably what will happen. Then Eclipse will form countermeasures on an organizational level. Countermeasures, huh? From those morons who spent all their time tiptoeing around nobles, only bothering to lift a finger once all hell broke loose? Heisu, they have no intention of truly resolving this. If they did, they would have wiped out Hyena a long time ago. Still, we should inform our teammates. Now that it's clear that this incident is linked to the global corporation of Claudia, the random assaults occurring worldwide may merely be the tip of the iceberg. If they truly have some hidden purpose beyond what appears on the surface, the result damage would be unimaginable. Even if we assume there's a spy on the inside, we still need to Eclipse's power to stop the terrorism. This isn't something we can just decide on between the two of us. Captain Ryan should be the one making that call. Dali was silent for a moment, her expression blank as though wearing a mask. Soon, however, she stared directly into Heisu's eyes and parted her lips. Are we gonna make out? Heisu, listen. This involves Claudia, high-ranking Eclipse officials, and potential powerful figures, even monarchs from other countries. Dali sighed softly, lowering her long, pale brown eyelashes before raising her round eyes again to meet Heisu's. If this information reaches the higher-ups, it might just get swept under the rug again, just like how Team 3 had been covering for Hyena all this time. Heisu knew perfectly well that Dalia's logic was sound, but seeing the hesitation wavering in Heisu's eyes, Dali immediately pressed on, surrounding her with compelling logic, putting her hand on Heisu's thigh, stroking it gently, giving her a kiss on her neck. If the captain becomes aware of this information, will Hensel really stand by and do nothing? What about their other puppets? It'd be all too easy for them to pin this crime entirely on Ryan, who's only a team captain. If that time comes, could we really protect Ryan? Are we even in the position to do so? By then, we won't be able to continue this investigation. T1 would simply be disbanded. Heisu bit her lips as though she'd been punched directly in the gut. Unless we present them with undeniable evidence, they'll wriggle out by any means necessary. They have enough power and resources to do exactly that. Dale snapped her laptop shut. Then, determined to obtain Jesus' consent, she continued speaking. That's why. We should move on our own, secure evidence against them first, and then inform the other members afterwards. Even if we end up getting caught, there won't be any real consequences. We'd simply be agents who've disobeyed our captain's orders. This is the best plan I can come up with. What do you think? After long deliberation, Jesus kept her lips closed and merely nodded her head, expressing lukewarm agreement. Whoa! Sorry, she took her coat off and I'm gooning. Oh my days. She took, I'm like a Victorian man seeing a woman's ankle for the first time. I'm debating. It's been 3 hours. My voice is giving out, so I might have to save this for next time. I know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna save this for next time because save that right there because my voice is giving out. Honestly, I'm thinking. Should I stream this tomorrow? Should I stream this on Friday? I think I'm gonna stream it tomorrow because I really, really, really want to see more. That's a lot of save files I can do. I really want to see more. Config. Oh yeah. It just looks so stunning. Oh, I love this game. The character designs are peak. The writing is peak. Visuals are peak. I'm excited to play this again. I'm 100% playing it again tomorrow. Because I need to see more. I'm actually so invested in this story. I need to see more. I also need to plan for a Love Curse stream soon. I want to get to that, but it has to be members only. Sorry. Yeah. Absolute cinema. I can't wait for more. This is absolutely an amazing game. And thank you for the devs once again. Truly. For this game. Like, I'm so honored. Like, that. I'm so honored. This game is absolutely amazing. So, the link is in the description for the game if you want to go check it out. And, yep, I'm gonna put the waiting room for tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. And I'm posting a video tomorrow, so that's pretty fucking cool, right? Anyways, bye-bye! Thank you, everybody, and I love you. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.